Can you see, Lorna?
No.
I've done, it's the worst. It's the worst.
I know. So I'm gonna practice just sharing my screen for a second since we have a little bit of time. There's lots of people on early. Because last time I did this, sometimes it goes to my double screen. Oh, it didn't this time. Yay.
There you go. Right.
All right, so that works. And then there's a video in here that is not work that I had to get off KW. So there it is. Okay. So I have that ready to go. All right.
Evan, we're going to be working together today, huh?
Looking forward to it.
Me too. All right, so I have ADD, so I'm really going to rely on you too. So sometimes I miss things in the chat because I'm
No
all
worries.
over.
So feel
All
free,
right.
both of you, to interrupt if necessary.
Okay.
Good morning, guys. I'm on just to make sure we're going over 100 participants today,
Awesome.
and then you guys could take it away.
We're early. We still have 10 minutes. I can't believe there's so many people on so early. I'm so excited about that.
Well, they're nervous that they won't get in. So-
I wanted to make sure I got in.
Jennifer, thank you so much for the sweet note you sent me a few months ago about my husband. That was very sweet.
I'm glad you got it.
Yes, very nice. And he's also cancer-free.
Oh, that's so great to hear. Thanks
Yes.
for that update.
Yes, it was a great Christmas.
Great.
Thank you very much. That was really sweet.
I love your sign behind you.
Isn't it nice?
Ew. A woman in my town makes them, and I had her make one. I love it. Thank you.
So we have
There's
a lot
nothing
of
else
people
on
on
the
without
walls.
their cameras on. Should we see who wants to put their cameras on?
Put your camera on.
Come and join us, guys. We could have a good conversation this morning. If you were here early with us yesterday, what we were talking about is this is a great opportunity for you to network within your region. There are a lot of agents that have referrals within the region. I know I do, and I know my office and my agents do as well. So I'm sure you have some referrals that could be coming in other states that are in the region. So use this opportunity now before we get started to introduce yourself and network with your tribe here on Ignite. It's open mic now. So anybody want to unmute themselves, go right ahead.
Ginger, where are you from?
I'm from the Concord office, Boston Northwest, and my territory is Stowe, Hudson, Littleton, Acton, Concord,
Love it.
Massachusetts, not to be confused with Stowe, Vermont.
Awesome. Who else do we have here? We got some faces. I'm trying to see.
You know, I'll introduce myself. My name is Tiff, and I'm from the Keller Williams Coastal Realty office in Portsmouth, and I'm a pretty brand spanking new agent. But you know, so far I've shown some properties up in the Newfound Lakes region, and then I have another couple looking for properties around Farmington. But you know, I'll go throughout the state. You know, so where I can get business, I'll go. So hello.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Praveen. I'm a new agent at Keller Williams, but also I worked in Cambridge for 4 years doing rentals primarily. So this is super exciting for me. So thank you so much, Jennifer and everyone.
That's awesome. Are you working out of the Cambridge office?
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, Rich and Sam, you got a great team there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited. Super
Awesome.
excited. I've never seen so much support before. So this is amazing.
I love
thank-
hearing that.
Yes. Can't wait to get into team actually. You know, do you have any suggestions, recommendations for getting into a great team?
I have a friend in the Cambridge office, Ed Grable. He is on the hunt for another buyer agent.
Okay. Great. I'm sorry. Could you spell his name again?
Yeah, it's Ed, E-D, Grable, Greable. And I will also let him know. I'm writing your name down now.
See, this is why we have these conversations this morning, because you never know who you could connect yourself with,
Exactly.
right? Thanks for speaking up, Pravin.
Of course. Of course. Thank you.
Anyone else want to introduce themselves before we still have about 6 minutes before we launch Ignite?
I'll introduce myself. I'm Johanna Knight with the Portsmouth office as well as Tiff. Been in business for, well, starting my 26th year. So I have seen a lot of, changes within the business, and very excited. Thank you for your time with this class. It's always great to go back to the basics and continue on.
Well, Johanna, thanks for being here, because having agents like you that have been in the business for many years and still being able to grab those little nuggets, it really is exciting to hear, because you know what? Here's the thing. We are all learning, no matter if you've been in the business for a day, 26 years or beyond. We're all continuing. The minute you stop learning, what happens?
You hang it up, you're done. In my book.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because I've always put the education field, educational information, that continually learning more throughout my career. Even with the CEUs for our licenses. There've been years I've had 60 hours, just, only needed 12, but can't get enough of it. It protects us. That's
Yeah, you know what, Johanna? Gary Keller says that the minute you stop learning, he loses interest in you. Like he doesn't want to continue the conversation if you want to stop learning, because he's always learning, and everyone else should be always learning, because we always have that improvement. So I love your strategy. I'm in the same mindset. Anyone else? Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Man.
Hi. Oh,
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm Victoria. I'm with Valenza with Pioneer Valley, and I'm hoping to join a team. I've been talking to somebody. I just took the KPA this morning at 6 a.m. Hopefully, I'm not scaring anyone off with that one.
Well, your glasses are fabulous, and I'm sure
Thank
your KPA is going to come out to what you put in there, because those are. Has anybody done a KPA in here other than Victoria?
Yes, I have done.
Aren't they kind of creepy, crazy? Like they know, they like really understand who you are just from doing like those Tetris things and filling in the blanks in the sentences. If you haven't done a KPA yet, talk to your leadership. They'll get you one. It's a great experience to have and to really know yourself, so you know how to respond to others. It's a great, great tool.
Absolutely.
All right, who else wants to introduce themselves? I love this. We still have a few minutes left.
Hi, I'm Lisa Brackett from the Keller Williams Metro office in Bedford, New Hampshire.
Well, welcome, Lisa.
Thank
How
you.
long have you been how long have you been at Keller Williams and in real estate?
I've been in Keller Williams the whole time, and April will be 4 years. I cannot believe that.
Awesome.
I wouldn't do that first year over again for anything. But I was the same way. I had like 60 hours of continuing ed, and now I'm going back to all of those things. And I feel like I don't know, the more experience you have, the more the information makes sense, when you're taking a class. So I remember I remember I took the ABR, like within, my mentor told me I should take that within the first few months. Oh my God, I was so lost. Even the teacher said, I think you should come back because I knew nothing. So I want to take that again at some point now that I, understand more.
Yeah, so I was talking to somebody yesterday who had taken Ignite before, and the conversation we had was, you hear things differently every time you take it. It's never going to feel like the same course.
Absolutely.
You're going to hear things differently. You're going to hear participants say things differently. You're going to hear different scripts that might connect with you. So I encourage all of you here, if this is your first time in Ignite, take it again, because you'll be in a different space, in a different area of your business, that you'll hear things differently. So.
Absolutely. Like same thing with life. You get advice from more than one friend because you're hoping someone's going to say something that's going to make it click.
So
Yeah.
true. So true. All right, we have time for one more person to introduce
go.
yourself.
I'll go.
All right, I have two, so we're gonna do the two. So I think it was Karen and then someone else. Who was the other
Okay,
person?
it was me, Melody.
All right, go right
So Tara.
ahead.
Yeah.
I can't see you, but I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I'm Melody. I am a real estate agent with Keller Williams Coastal. This was my first year through COVID, so that was fantastic. This is my first Ignite. I actually hit a year in December. So I am looking forward to really learning and just sort of pouring all the knowledge in so I can get revved up and actually be an active participant and get some clients. So I'm super excited to be here.
We're excited for you to be here, Melody, too, and welcome. So Karen, I think you were up next, and then we're going to get started.
I am Karen Urbino, and I am brand new. I just got my license in November. Started with Keller Williams a couple of weeks after at Boston Metro. And I'm so glad that I chose Keller Williams because this is so awesome. All the information, all the learning. I ended my career of 30 years with the airlines in March, right during COVID. And I'm just glad this is the company that I chose.
We're glad you chose us as well. I think, a lot of us on here could tell our stories of how it's changed our world. I've been in Keller Williams ecosystem since 2012, been in real estate since 2001. Those first 12 years, wow, if I had Keller Williams under my belt, Lorna, you're shaking
Oh
your
my
head,
gosh.
right?
I think, I came into Keller Williams 21 years into the business and thought, I don't need all this education. I'm just going to, enjoy the systems and the split and all of that. It's rocked my world. It's changed my life. Keller Williams, I just can't even tell you how much it's changed my life in terms of my mindset, in terms of running my business like a business. Nobody ever talked about that. So it's you're in an amazing place, an amazing company. So nice job, everyone. Good choices.
All right, so Lorna, Jen, and Evan, I believe you guys are on our stage today to be our instructors and mediators or facilitators in the chat. So I'm really excited for today. It's Spark 3. And Jen, you did such a great job last time. I'm so excited that you came back to teach this session again. So you guys are in for a treat. I'm actually going to be signing off a little early today to get to another meeting, but I'm going to put this on Facebook Live. Looks like we went over 100, Lorna, so I think we're good there.
That's awesome. I don't know how to put it on Facebook Live, so
I'll take care of it for you, and then we'll get going. Okay, I'm going to make you host though.
okay.
Go ahead, you get
I'm
started.
not host. I can see that because I have the opportunity to leave, which that's not meaning I'm a host. So welcome everybody. Spark 3. I'm super excited. So that I have Jen Giroux, who is one of our top agents and actually joined me on this journey 4 years ago, Jen?
3.
3.
4, yes. Yeah.
3. So 3 years ago, Jen joined our office as a brand new agent, just like many of you here, and has propelled herself through following the systems and the models into the top 20% of our office. So it's an amazing feat in 3 years when you have 190 agents. So Jen is here to join me. I'm going to be teaching, but Jen will be joining me. And then Evan is at our front desk at our Lexington office, and he's going to keep an eye on the chat because I can only multitask so many things at a time. So Evan will be just put things in there, but feel free. I love interaction. And in fact, it's very hard to be on a screen and talking to nobody. So definitely put stuff in the chat. Jen, does that mean Evan needs to be checking the Facebook Live chat as well?
I believe we have Erin and Tim checking out the Facebook Live.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, I can do that. Erin's on assignment today. She had her family lost her aunt, so she is she's off campus today. I'm here. I'm going to keep an eye on it for a little bit. Then I have to jump to a 9:30 meeting, but I will keep an eye on Facebook Live. Good morning, everybody.
Okay, Evan, so maybe on the second screen, you could put Facebook Live up in the Keller Williams Ignite KWNE 2.0 Facebook page. He might need to be let in, Jen. All right, so we're going to get started. So thank you all for being here today. And I love that you all have commitment. So I see the first question before I started. What is the KPA that you mentioned before class? So I'm just going to talk about that really quick before we get started on our day. So the Keller Williams Personality Assessment, what it is about a 45-minute test that you can take. And what they do is they fit everything together. They take all of your answers and they put it together and figure out what job is your natural fit. And so they have the list of every job in Keller Williams, I believe, at this point, every position. And so you would have leadership give that to you, and then they would verify it with you and talk it through. And it really is an amazing, has anyone here ever taken any sort of assessment like that? Right? So it's very similar.
Yes.
But
Yes.
thank you for unmuting. I'm so excited. We have interaction today. So,
Yes.
so thinking about how informative they are, this I think is the most informative one I've ever taken. So definitely talk with your leadership in your office. Jen, do you have anything to add to that?
It's Jen, the other Jen said, it's amazing how accurate it is. And it's really, it helps you find the right place where you should be. And it's very, very accurate. And that may be a team, it may be an individual agent, it may be a team leader, it could be a lot of things, could be a transaction coordinator. There's lots of ways to thrive in Keller Williams other than just an agent.
Tim Lindsay, you unmuted. Did you have something to add?
Yeah, Jen's making my point. I think a lot of brokerages you go to, there's a phone, maybe a chair, and they basically tell you you're going to help people buy, sell, or invest.
Right.
And there's nothing really else available right now. There are 50 jobs in Gary's eyes in the ecosystem of KW, and they're going to be labeled between regional roles, market center roles, team roles, which would be a sales position, all the way down to KWRI in Austin. So it acts as an Indeed for our company. So if there was an opportunity coming up, somebody could call Bovie and be like, I know she's got a great team in Rhode Island. I'm going to call her and see if there's somebody who would want to move to Jacksonville to be my team leader.
Right.
And she could have somebody in mind and then be like, her gut instinct is, I think this person would be a great fit. Go back to their KPA that justifies it. And that opportunity could be anywhere on the planet. So there's a massive opportunity here at our company. And I congratulate Jen for pointing that out, because that's, I think, the most powerful thing. If you've done a Rorschach test or a DISC assessment in the past, those are great. This is defining for us. And Gary built this tool to have growth and opportunity for everybody at our company. So please take the time. If you haven't yet done that with your leadership, reach out to your coach or your TL, have them send you the assessment so you can do that and find out what lays ahead for you here.
And how soon after starting should you be taking the KPA?
I think you could take it anytime after you start. So you can reach out to your leadership on day one. Some people do it before they even join.
As a coach, I use it after, when an agent joins us. My first 30-minute meeting is basically going from high school graduation to this conversation, because I need to learn who you are. And then I still utilize the DISC because I feel that's still a good drone flyover. It takes about 10 minutes to do a DISC assessment. And then the deeper dive of the KPA, to Lorna's point, she says 45 minutes. I guess I'm not that smart. So I always warn people, give yourself 60 to 75 minutes. If you're going to do these in tandem, if you're going to give yourself a good solid hour with the door locked, because it's garbage in, garbage out. If you get distracted, it will throw you off. There's 7 segments and they're timed.
They are timed. And I usually tell people 60, but I find that people say, oh, it only took me 45. So, and thinking about, I love that you pointed out to do this with the door locked. I did this, Chris, my OP had sent it to me and said, here, take this. And I said, okay, great. And she told me it was timed, but I said, okay, I'll take it while my daughter's getting her wisdom teeth out. That's going to take an hour. They finished in a half hour. So I was walking through taking it to say that while it probably wasn't totally accurate, I did retake it again because I didn't feel like it was totally accurate. So, All right. Any further questions about that before we get started? It's a great conversation, so I'm happy to start with that. We today are going to talk about scripts. All right. So just make sure everybody can see my screen, right?
Someone said there was some echo on
Is that better?
I think
Yeah.
you sound good.
Yeah, I think you sound okay.
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right, does everybody have the participant guide
No.
for this? Okay,
I do.
you do. Tim Lindsay, is there any chance you could put that into the chat for
Yeah,
me?
I'll go grab that. Yes.
Thank
perfect.
you.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to get started. So today, so as you probably noticed, you see this every single day. Today we're talking scripts. And so one of the things that I always like to remind you of is what you need to do every single day, right? This is, you need to grow your business and then run your business. And I want to point out that on the left-hand side, growing your business has to be that focus, because otherwise, what are you running? So first grow and then run. So today we're going to be talking about growing and a little bit about running. We're going to talk about lead generating for buyers and sellers, make seller listing presentations, buyer presentations, preview real estate, show buyer houses, negotiate contracts, transaction management to closing. Just making sure that's okay. So I'm just going to give you all a caveat. I had my eye dilated this morning, so I might not be as typical on my game. So Jen's here to support me throughout that. Right, Jen?
Correct.
Like,
That's right.
kind of going on one eye. So let's talk about, this is what we're going to be talking about today, the purpose of scripts. Why do we use scripts? The benefit of them. We're going to role model memorizing scripts. You guys are going to be in breakout sessions practicing, and then we're going to recap. Okay, sound like a good day? Woohoo!
Great
All right.
day.
Heck yeah.
I'm going to
May I jump in for a second?
You
So
may.
here's the thing about scripts. I was never a fan. I thought they were silly. They didn't sound natural. And I finally bit the bullet. I hooked up with another agent that I did not know in Atlanta, Georgia. And we script practiced every single day, the same script. I think it took us 2 weeks until we could say it inside and out. And it did not, by the time I had internalized it, I can say it my own way and get the same point across. And so if you're fighting the scripts, just trust me. And I would also advise script practicing with someone that you don't know very well, so that you are not making excuses and skipping your calls and things like that. Somebody you don't know, and then once you get too comfortable, then you switch partners.
And the consistency part matters, doesn't it?
Yes, yes,
Right?
it
I
does.
love that you brought that up, because we are definitely going to be talking about having a script partner. All right, so let's talk about scripts. So today's focus is to memorize and internalize, like Jen said, the scripts. It's important that you understand how learning a script fits into the bigger picture, right? So scripts help you lead generate. Does anybody, and I'd love you all to come off of mute or put it in the chat. I can't see the chat, but tell me, as you've gotten started and they said you need to make 10 phone calls a day, right? You heard that in the very first Ignite class, didn't you? 10 calls a day
Yes.
as part of your lead generation. Thank you for answering. And did you know what to say? Are you questioning, well, what am I supposed to say on these phone calls? Anybody wonder what to say? So scripts, no. Go ahead.
How are you?
Uh-oh.
It depends on who you're targeting. If you're targeting expireds, it's going to be a different script. If you're targeting FSBOs, it's going to be a different script.
Right, but you need the script, right, to know what to say. That's part of your lead generation.
Yes.
Thank you for pointing that out. It also helps you uncover the motivation, right? When you meet with somebody and they say they want to buy a house, is that at the end of it? Okay, they want to buy a house. I know what I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Not really, right? The scripts actually help you uncover the motivation, figure out, dig deeper, ask more questions. It also helps you identify objections. Why is that important to identify objections?
So that you can address and override them possibly.
That's right. And the fact is, if they are giving you an objection, That means they have interest, don't they? Because if they didn't have interest, they'd just yes you to death and keep moving on, wouldn't they? Right, so getting the objection is a good thing, and being able to overcome the objection. Being able to close the deal, right? Is that important?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is, right? That is one of the purposes around scripts, is to make sure that you are closing the deals. So that way that you can, there you go, I'm trying to get you guys out of my way. That way that you can get business. Everything you do in real estate is to get to that end. Speak in terms that the customer understands. Have you already noticed with getting your license, or for those of you who have been in real estate, that we tend to have our own language?
Yes.
MLS or CMA. Do people understand that? Not always. So we need to, what it does when you have a script is it actually helps slow you down and makes you more purposeful with your language, right? And then the last thing it does is it builds confidence. Jen, how did it help you as you've gone along? Like you talked about that one scenario. What happened when you really internalized a script? What did that do for your confidence?
I'm not afraid of what they're going to ask me. You have an answer for it. And if you don't have an answer, you say, I'll get back to you. However, the more you read and practice your scripts, the more you'll know. And yeah, your confidence is through the roof.
Has anyone else had that experience with scripts where, you were able to pull the objection handler out of your tool belt?
I can definitely speak to that. This is Lisa Brackett. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Lisa.
I used to work for MCI. Anybody remember that? I just dated myself. But I used to walk around with this long tether on my headset and say the same thing every day, all day. And it didn't matter what they said. I had a comeback. I had a rationale and something to put them towards the close of switching their carrier. So it's just repetition.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. In that it's just anyone who's had a sales job understands scripts a little bit because they understand. I see Donna shaking her head. Yes, like, yes. Donna, what's your experience with scripts?
Well, I've got a very long sales background. I'm new to real estate. I did it once before, but it was 20 years ago. So, and a lot has happened in 20 years. So I'm excited to start real estate again. I actually created some of my own scripts. And one of the things I've noticed since joining Keller Williams is the script that we call FORD is something I've naturally used throughout my sales career. I just didn't realize it kind of had a name.
Isn't it funny when you've been doing sales for a while and then you read a script and you say, oh my gosh, I actually already say that. So you start to learn, you learn them over time. Anyone else have any questions about, the big picture on scripts and how scripts can help you?
Can I add something?
You absolutely can.
So I remember sitting next to a friend of mine who was pretty new. And this was, back in MCI days where we were all in a bay and the chairs were in a circle and the supervisor was in the middle. And they sat me next to this guy, ex-Marine, shaved head, not very personable. And I'm like, oh my God, really? So anyway, long story short, we are still friends 30 years later. And he used to sit next to me and say, are you going to make a sale or a friend? And I said, both. So, because as you're doing your scripts and you get more comfortable with them, you can veer off of them a little bit. And you hear the kids in the background and you say, oh, how old's your kid? And then you start talking to them and it gets them involved. So, and when you're coming from a place of contribution and you actually care and you're comfortable with what you're going to say, like you said yesterday, the other day, you listen when you know the scripts because you're not thinking about what you need to say next.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. It makes it very conversational when you internalize them.
Lorna, I know a lot of people are gonna, they're in this class today. They just got to Keller Williams, or they just got to real estate, which is sometimes the same thing. And if that's the case, the belief system that until I have all of these mastered, or have created mastery within scripts for myself, I probably shouldn't pick up the phone. And Erin McLaughlin and myself always say that we're not here to tell you how to run your business. We're here to offer best practices. So as you're getting ready to have these conversations, we talked about the leverage of having this army of agents behind you yesterday. Please, I'm advising you to stop using the language, "I don't know, I'll find out," and start saying, "Great question, Mr. Lindsay. I'll look into that for you." Right?
Okay.
You edify,
like
you edify them, and you
I
ask
like
a great
that.
question. And let me find out, because the rules are ever changing, the laws are ever changing,
I
everything's
like
ever
that.
changing. Because I remember going to Coach's Skills Camp a few years ago, and the great Diana Kokoska, and you get to meet the queen, and I picked the fight with her because that's who I am. And I'm just like, you know what script I really don't love? The one where we say, it's when people are doing uptime calls at their market center, and somebody calls about 123 Main Street, and you say, "That's a great property, Mr. Lindsay. Let me find out for you." Like, if it's a great property and all these people have been calling, why are we not knowing what the price is? That seemed disingenuous to me. And she's like, "Well, if you get that kind of a pushback, like, how do you not know? It's because, we're constantly making improvements to the prices of our homes, and it may have changed. Let me check." Right. But it's that same mindset of, don't say, "I don't know, I'll find out."
Okay.
Because if I'm about to make the largest purchase in my life with you, I want a little more confidence than that.
Okay.
And it's confident to say, "Great question. Let me look into that for you." It's just in the way we're politely saying we don't know. We'll look into it. Right. But
I'm writing that down.
I would
Tim.
get away from the language of "I don't know." I would start using "Great question. I'll look into that for you." And I've got a great mentor out in Vegas. His name is Sean Cannell. And I love this phrase. You can steal this because I'm sure he did. "Ready is a lie." Pick up the phone today and make friends and clients, right? Ready is a lie. You're never going to be ready to make your calls. We weren't ready to have kids, buy houses, join real estate, get out of bed this morning. Ready is a lie. Take that to the bank, right?
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Tim, for sharing that. And, I want to just point out to everybody that Jen here, who, again, I told you has, done very well in her career thus far and will continue to do so. She right away said, "I'm writing that down." She heard something. So that is, it's the implementation, right? Writing it down and really owning it. So, because of course, Jen's not going to rely on her memory. "Oh, remember Tim said that thing at Ignite? What was that?" Right? So make sure as you're hearing these things, you're taking great notes. All right, we're going to move on. So, I went too far. Hold on. So I want you to look on the screen, and you'll notice that there's some 3 phrases. Jen, do you want to read those phrases for me?
Sure. Did you find everything you were looking for? Go ahead, look around, and please let me know if I can help you. I see you're admiring that big screen TV. Are you looking to get one for this big game this weekend? The big game, I think is what it should say. The big game.
The big game, that's right. So have you heard of these before? If you have, unmute and say, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." I want to hear everybody. Have you heard these phrases when you've been out and about in the world?
Yes.
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 Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And when you heard them, did you think they were a script?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
some people say yes, some people say no. That's great. So thinking about the fact is that every place we go and every interaction we have in a service-oriented business has scripts. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes.
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 Absolutely, right? Notice though that these scripts and all scripts that are written, what do you notice they have in common?
They all have one-word answers.
They all,
A call to action.
there's a call to
Open-ended.
action. What'd you say, Jonah?
Open-ended questions.
Open-ended questions. All right, I love all of these answers. And even that, there were way more answers than I expected. And I am so grateful for all of you to interact. What I was actually thinking about was that they're 100% customer oriented, right? It's all about the customer. Did you find what you're looking for? Go ahead and look around. Let me know if I can help, right? It's all about them. And that's what you want to think about when you think about scripts. It needs to be all about the person that you're talking to. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Right? And it allows you to ask question. A lot of it also was like questions, right? So not all of it, but 2 out of the 3 were questions. So great scripts typically have fantastic questions in them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? To provide that kind of back and forth interaction. Any questions about that?
No, but I like that it's so personal because ideally what you want to do is solve someone's problem. So if you want to ascertain as much information and make it as much personal as you can to have that rapport to see, how can you best help them?
That's right. Exactly.
I think personally, my favorite is I see you admiring that big screen TV. I think that you could definitely use that in the real estate world. Like, oh, I see, especially with like Facebook ads and things like that. Like, oh, I see you admiring this home. It's a better selling statement. I personally believe.
Yeah, well,
I believe the same thing. I think that the other two, like the top one especially, could lend itself to a yes or no answer and no further discussion, as could number 2 when the person's running away to get out the door away from you.
Yep.
Right.
I love that you guys are pointing these out, and I agree with you that I think that it also shows that you're paying attention to their body language or their language, their verbal language, right? By saying that I admire you seeing that. They're paying attention to you, not just kind of ignoring you, right? Have you ever gone into a store? I think of like Best Buy, and sometimes I'll walk around and nobody pays attention to me until like I say, hey, I need this. And then other times I go in and somebody right away says, geez, I see, you're looking at cell phones, do you have any questions? Right. So in which scenario does the consumer feel or the client feel that you love them or you're paying attention? That first one, the second one, right? When they're asking, they're paying attention to you.
Definitely. Victoria's Secret is good for that.
They are really good.
I was the manager there.
Whereas Best Buy, like you said, you can't get anybody unless you're searching.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
the thing with Best Buy, being a former Best Buy employee, some of them are trained to actually look, if you're looking more intensely at an item, that's when they will interact, and some are more general depending on which part of the store you're in. So if you're looking more intensely at TVs, most likely you will find somebody very quickly. But video games and stuff like that, they usually tend to leave you alone until you're looking a little more confused. Then they come in with their scripts and know what to say to you.
Awesome.
Interesting.
Thank you for sharing that.
I wish they trained Home Depot workers to do that because never see anybody there.
I do too. I do too.
In Walmart.
They look confused. Home Depot.
Totally.
Right.
You can do it. We can help.
And I love that all of you have noticed this in other, in interactions in stores, right? That the scripts are important and customer service oriented business, right? You know the difference, right? You're all able to easily find the businesses that don't feel like they're customer oriented. And we want our real estate business to be what?
Customer oriented.
That's right. All about the consumer, all about the client. All right. So the next thing is we're going to talk about limiting beliefs. So what is a limiting belief?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
A limiting belief is something that you think you can't do, and you've talked yourself into the fact that you can't do it only because you're afraid to do it.
Okay, that is a great way to put it. Anyone else have any thoughts on limiting beliefs, what they are?
I always think of my drunk monkey.
The drunk monkey, we talk about that in bold, right? That's the person sitting on your shoulder when you say, I think I'm going to go try roller skating. And it says, oh, you can't roller skate, right?
Also to remove your biases.
Yeah.
that you have.
Yeah, that's true, because those limiting beliefs definitely are in, the biases are in those limiting beliefs. That's a great point. And so how can that limiting belief hold you back from achieving what you want?
So you think, you start thinking for your customer, like spending their money, like they're not gonna wanna look at this or work with me, or you're, instead of just asking, you're kind of like saying, you're putting it out there for them that, oh no, they don't want a house, but maybe they do. And so kind of like in my industry too, it's like you're spending the client's money. So instead of you're looking at the client and you're not letting them talk. And then that gets in your mind that, oh, I shouldn't say anything, or.
All right, I'm going to unpack that a little bit, because you said a lot of different things there, but I would say the very first thing was that, oh, why would they want to work with me, right? Or they don't want to work with me. So that's the one limiting belief. So you might lose an opportunity by having that belief. Does that make sense?
I was literally going to say the same thing.
Yeah. And so that's one of the first things. But then the limiting belief about helping your clients by thinking like this house isn't the right house for them, that's a little bit different, but that's similar to the fact is, if you hold back by showing them a house like, oh, this isn't the house that they would like, you might lose the opportunity for them to find the perfect house. Because a lot of times as buyers are looking, and Jen could back me up in this, they tell you they want one thing because in their mind, that's what they picture. But as they start getting into houses and start like walking through them, they start to understand like, oh, I actually really like older houses. I don't need a brand new house. Right, Jen?
Yeah, it's, I think this is a great topic. So limiting beliefs would be, you meet someone at an open house and they say, oh, well, we're just looking, we're in the beginning stages of looking for a house. They probably don't know what they want. They probably may not even realize, they may not be pre-approved. They may not realize that the interest rates are amazing right now. And a year from now, who knows where they'll be, but educating them and telling them. So for example, if in the beginning, when I first started, I would just ask at an open house, what brings you here today? And they just say, we're just looking. And I'd let it go at that. And basically they don't know what they're looking for. So, and they don't know the right questions. So just not letting people, not putting in your mind that they don't want to buy a house, because obviously they wouldn't be there if they did. That was a roundabout answer.
I think also with my experience with limiting beliefs is once you start getting over yours and you get out of your own lack mentality and you sort of step out of yourself, you can also help facilitate others to do the same, because now you've had that experience. And so if you're seeing it more optimistically, or you have the knowledge because you're an expert, in your field, and someone is looking, then now you can help them better navigate. Okay, well, yeah, but have you thought of it this way? Or you can bring it and just sort of, what Jen was saying, expand their mind, expand their knowledge, because they really don't know, or they think maybe this house is great, but they can't afford it because they looked right at that price tag, but they didn't see, well, you can go and do this, 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 and this to work that out. So I think it kind of facilitates, helping others to not have their limiting beliefs as well.
Yes, good point.
On that? All right. Awesome. That was a great discussion, by the way. And I think you all understand what limiting beliefs are and how it can hold you back. So now I want you to turn to your participant guide on page 4. And I'm going to put it on the screen as well in case you don't have it. So this is 2 parts. So the first one is I want you to write down limiting beliefs that you have that hold you back when making phone calls. Right. And then I want you then to think about how can you overcome that, right? Like, how can you overcome that limiting belief that's listed? So one way that you've done it or you plan to do it. And then once you've done that, I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. So we're going to take a second while you're writing those 3 things down, and you're going to get a partner and you're going to pick one limiting belief that you listed in the first part. And you are going to work with your partner to talk about other ways to overcome. Everybody understand what they need to do? So the very first step is I want you to write down 3 limiting beliefs about making phone calls. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to break you up into rooms, breakout rooms, and you're going to work with your partner on the second section. Any questions before we get started? All right, you write down and I'm going to get breakout rooms ready. You might have more than one person in your breakout room. Okay. It's going to be a group discussion. All right, is everybody ready?
No. Can we just have like 3 minutes?
Yes, I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes. It's all going to be quiet. 3 minutes, write down your 3 limiting beliefs. All right, 1 more minute. All right, I'm going to send you off into breakout rooms to discuss the second part. Okay, you all ready?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to open the rooms up. Now you just have to join. You should have all gotten an invitation to join a room. Okay, we keep going. Woohoo, find your join. So Polly, you should have been given a room. Mary, did you see the join come on your screen?
I was just able to get on now, so should I just hold out since I wasn't able to?
Let me see if there's a way to assign you a room. Let's see. All right. Let's see. I want to put you in room. Let's see if I can put you in a room. All right. Let's see. I'm working on it. Let's see, Paula. It says you got assigned to a room, though.
You do.
Let's see. Assign.
I did get in a room, but I was just able to, I had an appointment this morning, was just able to get here. So should I just wait it out until you start again?
Yeah, just wait it out, I think.
I'll do that. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. I'm going to leave this room for a second to check in with someone who's having trouble.
Okay.
How's everybody doing? You guys okay that are on still?
Yes, thank you.
All right, so let's see, somebody's asking for help, so I'm gonna jump off and see that you can either practice with each other or not. We're gonna do this for a couple minutes, okay? Okay, everybody. How's it going? For those of you who, I know that we have a couple people who need a new room. Just unmute and tell me and I'll get you into a room.
I don't
Hey,
know why my
Lorna,
name's
it's
showing.
Maria.
Hi, Maria.
How are you? There was nobody in room 8.
Okay, so I'm gonna will you go back to room 8 and then I will put someone in there for you.
Okay, how do I do that?
Let's see.
There's a button in the top left if you're on a phone that says join breakout.
Top left, my left. Join breakout.
And I don't know how to pronounce your name, Ignitus.
I don't know why it put my name as that. For some reason, it does it every time I put my name in and it changes it. So it's Darius, but
Darius. So what room were you in originally?
I was in 15.
15. All right, we're gonna put you in room 8.
Okay,
I thought that would be good. All right, ready? There you go.
thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else need a room to be in?
I don't want to choose a room because I'm going to have a meeting at 10 with my market center.
Oh, well, they're only going to be in rooms for a few minutes. If you want to join, you can. But if not, you can just stay on mute and wait. Two more minutes, everybody. Elizabeth, did you get in a room? Oh, you're muted. I still can't hear you. That's weird. Do you want to type it in the chat?
Hi, there's no one in room 15. So I left.
Oh, that's weird. I just put people in there. So if you want to go back in, you should be able to. They just rejoined. They just joined.
Oh boy. Sorry to make you assign me to room 15 again. I cannot do it myself.
Let's see. All right.
Oh,
well,
wait, hang on a second. Yep, there it is. I got it.
Actually, I'm going to move you to room 16. Let's see. Thank you for being patient. These breakout rooms are awesome, but sometimes it gets a little confusing. There you go. All right, I just gave some of you room assignments if you didn't have them. We have one more minute and then I'm going to bring everybody back. Barb, did you guys finish? Oh, you're muted.
We did. We had a couple of good rounds and each went over our 3 objections to overcome when we're making the call. That's a limiting belief we walk in there with. We did well.
That's awesome. All right. So I'm pulling everybody back so we can all talk about it. Welcome back. People are starting to come back in. Paula, thank you for sticking it out with us. Did you make it into a room or did you stay with us?
Stayed with you.
Welcome back, everyone. As everyone's coming back in, isn't that fun to meet some new people? Right? So make sure that you get in contact information and maybe possible script partners. Just saying, right? That would be great to have. So I would love to hear some ahas. I need 3 ahas so we can move on. How did it go? Tell me what you learned. Tell me what you did.
The ladies in my group, we all have very similar limiting beliefs to the connecting with people that we haven't spoken to in a long time. And yeah.
So you all 3 had similar ones, and were you able to come up with some ways to overcome that?
Yeah, one of the ladies in our group shared a personal story, which was really awesome. And it was an aha. If you're able to get through something tough like that and have a good conversation, you'll be able to do that further on with pretty much anyone.
Love that. I love that. Awesome. Anyone else? What ahas? Meaning, like, what did you learn? What's new? What are you going to implement?
Me and Becky made script friends.
Awesome. Get a script partner. I love that.
So I think we had one that is kind of around with everybody is don't be salesy. Being too salesy, coming off of those calls and just sounding like a salesperson, because that just irks everybody, especially if you're just doing cold calls in that way. But, you know, just be more friendly.
So is that your limiting belief is that the scripts make you sound salesy?
Well, that you might sound too salesy doing it, I guess. Yeah, I mean, working in radio, you notice it right away if you're sounding salesy, because it just shuts people out and they say, oh, they just want my money. But if you're just being a friend, you know, and really looking out for the person, it's not going to come across that way.
Okay.
About being yourself and connecting.
So being yourself and connecting, which I agree with, and I will challenge you both to say, sometimes when we're just a friend, are we getting them to where they need to be to make a decision about moving forward to work with you?
Right. We were just having.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we were just having a conversation around that a little bit too. Is like, do the scripts work as well when it's like a friend of yours that you really know, as much as it is a cold call? You know, you can kind of get away with it feeling less salesy, like Riley said, with the people you don't know. The people you do know, scripts they're going to be like, that's not what you sound like. That's not how you talk, you know?
Well, once you learn them and you know them and they become part of your vocabulary, that changes because then your emotions behind it, because you have the truth.
Yeah.
That what you're saying is really truth. Right now, if you're new, I'm pretty new. I'm not super new, but once you realize what you're saying is actually the truth, it doesn't sound salesy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a comment about that.
Sure.
So because I've been in sales, and I think before I got into sales, I had so many, I'm going to say, bad experiences with salespeople, whether I was buying a car or I was in a store. I guess I learned how not to be that person. It's really easy to be that person if you've ever gone to buy a car. I had a really bad experience buying a car once, probably the worst sales experience ever.
Why is the car always the one?
No.
Hey, easy. 17 years in the car business. We're not all that bad.
No, I know. I had a good one last time.
It's stereotypical, of course.
No, I ended up walking out on the bad one. So that was the end of that. But anyway.
So here's Donna. So here's my question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. So are you a salesy person? Do you sound like a salesperson when you talk?
No.
To just someone you know? No. Does anybody on this call want to say that they're a salesperson, sound salesy when they talk to people?
No.
If you memorize it, if you have the script in your head, it's not going to come off as salesy at all. So that's a limiting belief. And I was one of those. I fought scripts for a very, very long time. And I still kind of do because it's work and it's not that fun practicing and that kind of thing. However, it is here and you can talk to people any day of the week in the grocery store and sound like you know what you're talking about. Even if you're new and people say, oh, I'm new, get over it. If you're new, you're on this call and we're saying scripts work, stop fighting it and just do it.
I think too, the idea with the scripts is if you memorize them, and you might memorize them, they sound salesy, but if you know them well enough, they just kind of come out in conversation. It keeps you on focus. So like, especially when you are talking to a friend, it's easy, especially for me, it's very easy just to veer off and all of a sudden you're talking about, oh, remember back when 10 years ago, but the script keeps you on point and on focus so that you're having a direction in the conversation.
Yep.
So personal experience. Go ahead, sorry.
That's okay. I'm gonna let Thomas go first. He's been trying. Go ahead, Thomas.
It's just thank you. What I've noticed in my experience is while I'm talking to somebody, sometimes when I used to work in retail a lot, what I would do is while conversation of approaching somebody that entered my store, I would talk slowly if I felt uncomfortable, and I'd ask myself two questions. Am I providing them value? And am I being friendly? And as long as I am providing value and I'm being friendly, it is okay to share your presence and that you're doing exactly what you need to do. So continue doing that and slow down and be more empathetic if you feel uncomfortable, but ask yourself, am I providing value? And am I being friendly? And those
are great.
Slowing down was huge. Slowing down is huge. We were in the breakout room, we're talking about, another gentleman said he talks really fast. I said, so do I. So even like if I were to door knock and I would talk to someone, it would be so fast. They would be like, stop, wait. Like I bulldoze people without realizing it. So stepping back and slowing down and like hearing yourself sometimes is more important than trying to get them to hear you.
And that's the beauty of having a script partner. They can say, you're talking a little too fast. And my script partner in Atlanta, she talks so slow and hanging up with her is 15 minutes. It's like, okay, all right, yes, ma'am, all right, okay, have a good day, happy new year. And I finally said, you have got to end this call. Like you can say something nice, but you don't have to say it 15 times. And she's gotten it. So now, before I was afraid to tell her, the whole reason we have a partner is to give feedback. I mean, I didn't tell her she's annoying, but she was, especially she's in the South, I'm in the North, we operate completely differently. So, and she tells me that I talk too fast. So
that is great feedback. I love that you're pointing out that the point of script partners is not to say, oh, great job. Now,
right. Exactly.
That is important.
Exactly.
At the beginning of your partnership, but also making sure that you're giving honest feedback because that's how the other person grows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm talking with Jen and she says, Lorna, you said a lot. I did? I didn't even know that. So you don't notice it. You know, one of my habits, I'm sure you've already noticed it, is that I say like all the time. I still do it. And I work really hard to try to catch myself from saying, like this or like that. But it's a practice. But I didn't notice it till Chris Hill pointed it out to me in my OP. All right, we have time for one more. Praveen, did you want something else to add something?
Well, I just wanted to say, I felt like I'm a natural salesman. I felt, and I thought I don't need a script. And I was doing well with my natural friendliness, but words do matter. Right words do matter in order to reach to the destination, because I was going in circles, too much friendliness, and not going to the point. So I definitely appreciate that script. I think that script is going to take you where exactly you want to be.
It takes, and this is such a great point, and thank you for bringing that up, is that we all have natural sales ability, right? Let's face it. That's why we're in business. So the fact is that by using the script, it gets you, elevates you to that next level and makes you more purposeful.
Absolutely.
Lorna, Donna messaged me that I interrupted her, so I apologize. She wants to finish her thought.
Okay, go ahead, Donna.
Well, to finish my thought, I think to Jen's point, naturally we don't sound salesy. And what I learned from all those other people that gave me bad examples was what not to do. And I always thought of myself as a consultant rather than a salesperson, because I think in order to be successful at sales, you have to ask and listen and get information. Otherwise, you don't know what to sell them or what to show them or what to give them or what to help them with. So even on my business cards, I made them put sales consultant wherever I worked.
Yep. No, thank you for saying that. And I agree that we are consultants and educators, and that's what we do, right? We help people make decisions. We guide them. So we are consultants, but let's all be clear, because I fought this probably for 20 years. I would tell anyone who would listen, I am not a salesperson. That is not my job. Guess what, people? It is your job. It is your job. You are helping people buy and sell homes. So we are in sales, and part of that is being a really great consultant. And by learning scripts, you become the most amazing consultant you could ever imagine, because you will be customer service oriented, like we talked about at the beginning. This was a great discussion. Was the breakout rooms helpful?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
You're too
right?
fast.
Great. I know that it got a little confusing for some of you, but you guys did great. So nice job. All right.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
All right. I don't have my camera on because I have a cold and I look horrible. But when you are doing cold calls to people, how would you normally start that call off?
So in our Ignite script book, you will find, depends what you're calling about. So usually there's a purpose around your call. So if you are calling a for sale by owner, right, or an expired listing, or if you're calling around a listing. So if somebody in your office or you have a listing, each one of those has a script. And that's why we have, our script books are all about this thick. So in this course, you'll have a Spark script book, which is kind of the beginning of your journey into calling. And then you have elementals, which will go further and will be more specific towards each type of call that you make.
Okay, so we'll go more into that later.
Yep. We're going to talk a little bit about it. And each of you on the Facebook page has access to the script books.
Oh, cool.
So they're right in there. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. All right, so next, now we figured out the purpose, like why we need scripts. And we talked a little bit about the benefits to us as agents, right? So as we started to talk about before, scripts help build confidence, right? They help you stay focused on the conversation and be present in the moment. Because many of you have pointed out that when you're talking with people, if all of a sudden, that they start talking about something else, or if you're talking to a friend and they bring you into another direction, that helps you stay focused on why you called, right? And typically when we're making calls for business, it's about business. And we don't want to get down the rabbit hole of a whole nother purpose, you know, if they start talking about something that's going on in their life, etc. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And it also allows for consistency in what is said and actions that you take. So what do I mean by that?
Really quickly, Lorna, where can someone find these scripts?
They are in the Ignite toolkit. So I can share them in a few minutes in between on our break. I'll put them in the chat box.
Thank you.
They're on the Facebook page.
And they
They're
are
listed, they're listed on the Ignite 2.0 Facebook page under units, and then each one will correspond. They say that some of them might say September because Aaron had posted them all there, but they'll say the same, they say the same thing. They say Elemental and Spark script books.
Yeah.
You can print them from there.
The other thing, if I can share, Lorna, is that scripts can be something that you're writing on your own. So for example, when I was writing an offer, and it was a multiple offer situation, and I wrote down, before I called the listing agent, I wrote down all of the questions that I wanted to ask so that I wouldn't forget, because I was nervous and I'd never done it before. And it just kept me on track. And then I had space for the answers. And I was afraid to ask, you know, how many offers, because I just didn't know what I was doing. And having it written down just makes it so much easier. And it helped me not forget anything. So it can be something that you write down on your own too.
Can I ask a question, or just bring up something? Or so one of the limiting beliefs that I talked with my partner in the room about, and it's actually something that I've run into a couple times, and I think maybe some of the veteran agents can help with this. What about the people that you know, you're ready to call, you've got your script, but you call people and they want to text you back? How are you guys handling that? Because I just don't feel, I can't stand to do a conversation through text. It drives me crazy. So when you've called someone, you know, say twice, and they want to text you back every time, how are you guys handling that? Or if you have, you know, you've made 10 calls, and of the 10 calls, 8 people just want to text you back a quick, oh, that, you know, oh, hi, oh, nice to hear from you. Oh, that's great. Like, how do you guys handle that? Because you can't really run a script through text. I mean, I guess you could just write it in there, but how do you guys handle that?
So Kelly, can I ask you, are you calling like your sphere of influence?
Yeah, because that's the other thing. If you're using, you know, like Tim had said, start, you know, we should just start right in our phone. Everything is in our phone. That's where we build our business. So my phone is a huge mix of people that are from all over the country, from people I've worked with, whatever. I have phone numbers in there of people that I don't even, some of them actually are not even alive anymore. I have to clear out my book. So I thought it was a good place to start. And in making those calls, I just have run into that. I've even like written myself notes, like, how do I handle this? Because I'm not good at sitting down and then texting people back. But I do want to, you know, some of these people are people that I would really like to get on the phone with them. So how are you guys handling that?
So one of the things I have heard people use is if somebody texts back and says, oh, sorry, I can't talk, or nice to hear from you, or something like that, is to say, I'd really love to ask you a quick question. Can you give me a call? When's a good time to talk?
Yes. And I that's, yeah, I've said stuff like that, but then a lot of the times you get dead air. And I know that could be where, you know, is that just your point where you yourself have to go, okay, do I just drop this person and come back later? But because I've run into it more than once, and it seems to be that thing. I just wondered if anybody had something a little bit more. Do you press a little bit harder? Do you try, you know, how are other people handling that? That's
Kelly, I think that you said something that was like a little bit of a limited belief. You're like, well, I don't have the time to text back. You're setting yourself up where you're not going to text back. There are going to be clients, I will say, that not hate being on the phone, and even as friends, because personally I'll say that I hate being on the phone. With my friends, I'd rather text, because then I'm not distracted on all the other things that I'm doing. But that's just the personal.
I see that from Joe. Joe was saying that it's the preferred method of communication for a lot of people, and millennials in particular. When and Tom says the same thing, when I meet with someone, a new client potentially, that's the first thing I ask them: what's their preferred method to communicate? Is it calling? Is it texting? Is it emailing? And I ask the best time to reach them, that way. And that way it's clear. You set, I mean, I personally don't love the phone. I mean, I can talk all day, especially if I have a glass of wine, but not with clients, obviously. So I prefer to text. It's just quicker, and people can respond when they have a minute. So it's unfortunate sometimes, but I think you just have to go with what works for them.
okay. Great. Thanks.
Vilma, did you have something to add? She was raising her hand.
I was going to say about the same thing that she just mentioned.
Okay.
That's the way I've been doing it. I put different ways of people likes to interact with each other, and that's the preferred way that I do it. And also, I put the time that I can call them, like 4 to 6, 6 to 8, mornings, weekends, and stuff like that. So to remind me, how is that you like to be interact?
Right. So checking in on I love that. So checking in on a time, Kelly, that what time works best for you? What time of day is the best time for you to call or talk, right? Because again, I totally get that. Or just send the text to say, and I know right now it's a little challenging with COVID, but if you're able to say, hey, you know what? I understand it's hard talking the phone. Want to grab a quick cup of coffee Saturday morning at 10. Right? Or etc. Depending, again, these are your sphere of influence. These are your friends, some of them, right? That you're calling. So figuring out what works best, but I think those were some great points. Did that help answer your question, Kelly? Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Probably not what you wanted to hear, though.
No, it's fine. I wanted to kind of hear, like, are you guys, just still doing that? No, I can't stand it. It's not, I can't stand to look at my phone and have a whole conversation through text. It drives me insane. So I will do it, but I didn't even know if that was something that you guys are still pursuing. Like, if they're texting that way and that is their preferred method. I mean, I'm not brand new at this. I've been doing it for 3 years, and I had sold a house with people that I texted with them more than I spoke to them. And it was crazy to me, but that's what they did. But in your first, in contacting and trying to kind of set those things up, I've not done that. Like, usually it starts with that phone call. So just wondering. And yeah, if that's the method, that's the method.
I think sometimes, if I may interrupt too, is some of us are more, are just better at texting than others. I'm a horrible texter. I don't mind the texting. I'm just terrible at it. So I have made mistakes, and I've been doing this about a little over 3 years, and I've sent people the wrong text message to the wrong person. Or I went to, take a snapshot and send a paper to somebody, and I sent it to the wrong person. That can get really risky, and you have to be really careful. And I've also made myself look foolish. So, I mean, you got, it goes back to not taking yourself too seriously, but knowing what's important and being very careful to pay attention to what you're doing.
Right.
I also, with text messaging, because I run into that a lot too, but I also think there's a lot in when people hear your voice, because you obviously can have inflection and meaning in there that people can't get over a text message. So I do the voice message through text a lot. Or like, especially like for an initial, if they're going to text you back, you can like send them a message over a text, and that way they can still get it when they want, because, you know, I have 3 children running around. So texting is very easy for me because I can send the message, put the phone down, deal with my kids, come back to it. So I think a lot of people that works for them as well. So you can, you know, send them a voice text, and that way they still hear your voice, they still get that inflection and your meaning in it, but at the same time, they have that ease of the text message feature.
That is a great point. I love that.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't even thought of that.
It is, thank
you. I wanted to say that one of the things about the voice memos that I really like, and I think this is one of the things, and even someone else said this about text messaging, is that when you text someone, it kind of gives them it gives them wiggle room for their time management.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I talked about in my group setting activity earlier was about not wanting to interrupt people, because people are really busy and have things going on, and a phone call can be very interruptive. So a text message allows them to get back to you and still get your message and maybe not be annoyed, which is nice.
Right. And one of the things I'm going to point out is in the old days, like when I first joined Keller Williams, it'll be 7 years this year, that they talked about was always like a contact was just a phone call. Yet this, in the last 2 years, now they're saying text message, 2-way conversation over text is counting as a contact. That has changed. So that what that tells me is the world is changing, right? So there's a bunch of different ways to handle it. And I think you all covered a lot of the points that that you need to work with, mirror and match what your client wants, but also making sure that the script you're using, you're following, right? So if you're using the Ford script, which is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, you can ask those questions right over text. Right. So.
The other thing is, real quick, is video texting. I just did this. I just started doing it, and not with everybody. I was waiting for somebody in my sphere to call me back, and they weren't. And I texted them a picture of me with my feet up, just my feet. And it just said, I'm just sitting here waiting for you to call me back. And they responded right away because it was funny, right? And they knew that it was something that they'd asked me to call them too. So sometimes they just need a little reminder, and, you know, you can do it in your own way without being, you know, please call me back at this number. Like, just say, call me back, please. I have something to tell you.
I love that.
I have a comment. This is very
I
helpful.
did something similar.
Oh, wait 1 second, Vilma. Jonah, go ahead.
Well, I have an interesting as an older person in this class, and I have this thing about, because people have cell phones, you can always interrupt them. But I think sometimes people are interrupted because they can always answer the phone. So one of my issues was, in terms of limiting belief, was that I'm always afraid I'm going to interrupt somebody. So this whole conversation about texting, and Jen, especially your little emoji and stuff, this is very helpful to me to overcome that, because I am always concerned when I call someone's cell phone that I'm interrupting them. So this is very valuable. Thank you.
Good.
Thank
That's
you
great.
for saying that. Vilma.
Oh my goodness. See, I think that's also like, what is it? A limited belief again? Because I personally feel like if you have a cell phone, that was the whole point. If you don't answer, what's the point of having a phone?
Well, I will.
Well, you can't always answer. So, you know, your phone could be, I'm sure people their phones have been ringing since they've been on this call. I mean, you can't always answer.
No. And I think that in the old days, like 5 years ago, or even 6 years ago, people had landlines. Like nobody has that. So this is the only way. And if somebody's driving, or in Jen's point, we've been sitting in this class for an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm pretty sure my phone's rang 6 times. So you can't always answer right away. And the other thing is text message, is that can't be instantaneous, right? So if somebody we're tied up here, you know, we shouldn't be on our phones answering text messages right now. We should be paying attention and be present in our class. So the fact is that even with text messages, it can't be immediate, not all the time. So, you know, if you're driving, no texting and driving. That's not okay. So thinking about that. Yes, David.
Hi. A couple things about texting. I always make sure that my read receipt is on, so that even if I can't respond, the person knows that I have seen their message. because there's nothing I hate more than, have they looked at it? Have they seen the message? That drives me nuts. So I think that, and if I can't answer, and the other thing is if I'm driving or right now in a meeting, you can set an automatic response that says, I'm in a meeting, I will get back to you, and that way they know that you have responded and you are proactively managing your time when you're going to get back to them. Just two thoughts.
That's a great point, David. And I love the like auto response. I have a few that I use that just say, I'm in a meeting or whatever. And it's so funny because I differ from you where I actually don't have the read receipt on.
Yes,
Because
right.
I feel like for me, that if they ask, if they see I've read it and didn't respond, they think
Exactly.
I'm ignoring them. So
I'm
I don't
ignoring you, but I don't want you to know yet. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Very important. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Super
yes,
busy
yes.
doing other unimportant things. Lorna, I'm going to pick
I've
on you
had-
because I'm old enough that I do have a landline. If anybody wants the number, it's Gramercy 8635, by the way.
Uh-huh.
If you've seen It's a Wonderful Life, you know what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
If you don't, ask your great grandparents. That being said, too, I noticed a lot of people talking about, when is a good time to talk. We want to give them the freedom and the bandwidth to make a choice, and we also want to set an appointment. So I appreciate that, Lorna. I'm looking forward to getting together with you. How's tomorrow at 4, Friday at 5?
That's right.
Right, because we're working on our calendar. We're still giving them a choice, but we're not just leaving it out there like, do you want to get together sometime between now and 2035?
Right. No, I appreciate that, Tim. That's being specific when you're giving them choices. That's perfect. All right. Great discussion today. Oh, go ahead, Jessica.
Oh, I was just going to say about the read receipt thing. In my experience with sales, you have to, if you know your client, it's helpful. Some of them, the read receipt is like great and they love you for it. And then the other people, if they saw it, there's some people who are immediate gratification.
Right.
And they will literally get like, you don't care about my business.
Yes.
If you haven't responded immediately when you read it. So I, in my experience, unless I know the client is like pretty chilled out, I'm just like, okay, they'll know I've gotten to them when I get back to them because I've gotten beat up too many times.
Well, again, in the beginning, set the expectation. If you you want to text me, that's great. I may read it. I promise you I will get back to you. And don't panic if it's not right away, but I will get back to you by end of business today.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's one important thing is that I always try to be proactive in terms of my response time. And I've noticed on Facebook pages and stuff like that for businesses, it'll give you an approximate response average, which I think is helpful. Even if it's just something like, hey, I got this, I'm going to get back to you. It's like a quick little
Yeah, I just want to say one thing about that. One thing I've just from being in sales is you want to make sure, even if somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, you do want to say, hey, let me look into it. I'll get back to you, but you have to get back to them. And I've, because of my business career as well, I set a time limit of 24 hours to get back to people. It's not always possible, but if you keep that as a general rule in your head, and I think it's reasonable. I think it's a reasonable thing, especially if it's something easy. You can get back to somebody the next day. So that's my rule. And the other thing I want to say about text messaging is, and somebody already brought this up and I can't emphasize it enough. Our phones have a tendency to correct everything with texting. And you just have to, before you hit the send button, just read it very carefully and see how it might be interpreted on the other end. Okay, because talking to somebody on the phone is way different than a text message.
And same with email, Donna, right? So that's,
oh God, yeah.
You all have to, and I am famous for this because I'm always rushing, is I always have to slow down. My friends actually tease me about my text messages. So I am really careful when it's clients, in particular my friends. I'm a little less careful. And so I think it's a great point to slow down, check your work, make sure it's what you want to say. And someone in the chat, I think it was Samantha Young, pointed out that you can do read receipts for some contacts, but not all.
Right.
So you have that ability. I did not know that. So thank you for sharing, Samantha. So to David's point, and to Jessica's point, everybody has a different way of doing it. That was my whole point, and this has been a great discussion. I want to roll it back to scripts so that way we can continue on. I'm going to stick to my script today, which is following our agenda. Is that okay?
I'd just like to say one thing real quick, and then yes. So I look at it as you're standing at an airline counter and you're waiting for the person behind the airline counter to give you a ticket, and they just ignore you. So I would respond to people within 5 minutes.
So if I'm driving down the road for an hour, Joseph, what's the solution for that?
Then I would have an autoresponder.
Saying that you're driving. Love that. Thank you. And that is true. I think you need to be able to respond. And I do think, like right now, if I was in the middle of this class teaching and I started going like this to respond to every text message that's sitting on my phone right now, what would you guys think of me?
Rude.
Not present. I'm just going to say I'm going to say this and we're going to move forward if that is okay with everybody. I agree. We're all an instant gratification world. The fact is this, we need to be present. If you are sitting, at work, you are expected to be responding. I agree with you. If you are sitting with your children and you're on your phone the whole time, are you being present with your children?
No.
You're not. If I am with a client, and I tell all of my clients this, so back to setting expectations, in the buyer consultation, in the listing consultation, and with my new agents that meet with me, I tell them this: if I don't respond to you, I am with somebody and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Whether you call, text, or email, I promise I will not ignore you. If I am free, I will answer. But I want to be able to talk with Jen Giroux and coach her to the best of my ability and not be interrupted and make her feel like she is less important by answering that text message.
And that's the same with when you're in a buyer consult with someone. I make it a point to say, I'm turning my phone off and I flip it over so that they know when I'm talking with them, they get my full attention. And when they're calling me when I'm at someone else's appointment, I'll get back to them. It's just setting the expectation.
I did food sales for a long time and I would just leave my phone in the car because I would tell everyone that, I'm with you now. I have no phone. To be with somebody else later, and I'm going to have no phone when I'm with them as well, but I will get to you.
Awesome discussion. And I will tell you, this is what makes the world go round, my friends, is everyone has a different thought and coming from different perspectives. And I love that you all felt safe in a safe space to share that. So thank you all. You have been, I have to tell you, one of the greatest groups in participation today. So I totally appreciate that on a Zoom call. All right, so we are going to talk about how to use scripts. We know the purpose, we know the benefit. So how do we use them, right? So I want you to turn to page 5 in your participant guide. It will look, let me see, where's my participant guide here? It will look like this. And if you don't have it with you, I want you to take a moment and I want you to review these questions. What is the benefit of asking questions versus telling in a conversation? Number 2, I want you to think about what are some things that you can do in a conversation to show the other party that you are truly listening? And how does the tone of your voice and body language affect conversation? Everybody got those? So now we are going to watch a video about these very questions and then have a discussion afterwards. Okay?
Lorna, real quick, I did pop the PDF into the chat conversation again. So if people don't have it, it's there.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you the top 5 things that you need to know.
Can you guys hear it?
Scripts. Step 1, you're going to need to get your scripts from a top agent in the office, your team leader, a MAPS coach, or of course, Keller Williams University. Step 2, we're going to need to do a total transformation of, instead of talking and telling, of asking questions. Selling isn't telling, selling is asking a series of questions that leads to desired response. So instead of talking so much, we need to get in the habit of asking questions. And asking questions gives us control of the conversation. Control of the conversation gives us our ultimate outcome, which is an appointment set or closing. Step 3, we need to listen with good intentions. Well, what I mean by that is we need to listen to their answers instead of just listening to them talk and asking another question that comes to mind. For example, instead of asking a seller where they're moving to and then going on to the next question, how soon would you like to be there? Ask them, where are you moving to? And when they give you a response, ask them, what takes you there? Step 4 in becoming better at scripts is we need to learn to mimic, mirror, and match the prospect. What I mean by that is we have to listen to their tone of voice. We have to speed up or slow down based on how fast the prospect is talking. That means when they respond and say, we're moving to Toledo. Oh, Toledo, that's exciting. What takes you there? 93% of communication is body language and tonality. And that means only 7% are the words that we say or the questions that we ask. Step 5, we need to take these 5 points and practice them daily. If you think of NFL teams, they practice 50, 60 hours on the practice field for a 1-hour game. Our game is our presentations and our appointments, and we need to practice daily everything that we've learned every single day before we meet with our clients. Scripts. We're pre-programmed to have scripts, and we're talking and asking questions that are scripted. However, what we found is that most of our own scripts are no good. And so we have to learn the right scripts, the right questions to maintain control of the conversation. Thanks for watching KW Connect. Make it a great day.
Give me some ahas, my friends. What did you think of that video? Did it answer some of those questions that we have on page 5?
Yeah, I think definitely parrot and back, because that's something I do in the salon to make sure when I'm doing consults with clients that you should be doing the same thing with real estate with, you know, what they're looking for, where they're moving. And it does show the client that you're paying attention to what they said and that they're listening.
So
Right.
conversations that I have.
I hear a video. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Hold on one second. I hear a video going. I don't even know how it started. So sorry. The video kept going.
It's a loop.
It is a loop. I apologize. Thank you, Tracy.
Tracy, you're in a great position in the salon to find out who's moving and selling.
We were talking about that in our breakout room because the other woman was a hairdresser too. And I had asked, like, I've already started to like talk with clients, but I was saying like some of them have already like gone with other realtors. So trying to figure out like how I can get them to go with me. Like they've trusted me for like 25 years with their hair. Now, you know, I know the intimacies of their life, and that's
right.
So like trying to then get me to trust them with like their biggest investment is, so that's what I'm just starting out. So
Get some business cards on that little chair right there, right in front of your mirror, because they're looking.
That's right.
Oh yes, that's my plan.
Lorna, what might be more effective than that is if you are either a solo artist or on a team, you can either, if you're a solo artist, you don't yet have a listing, you could ask another veteran agent within the market center for permission. Or if you're on a team, you grab maybe a handful or your most desirable listings that your team currently has and hang them around the mirror, right? Just to get the conversation started. We have a lot of agents that have their license with us. They are still a full-time stylist and they're really just doing it for the referrals. But it starts that conversation of, oh, what are those? Oh, well, my teammates, these are some of their listings. Oh, I didn't realize you had your license. I do. How can we help? Who do you know that
That's
we can serve?
awesome.
Right.
Love that.
Because the business card is so minuscule and it's so
Yep.
1987. The listing is the attraction point, right?
Love that.
I want you guys handing out that app, not the business card.
1987, Tim. I might be from 1987 right there.
I am too. That's why I use the reference point one. Yeah. But like the business card, they'll lose. The house is gonna curate the conversation for you. The listing is gonna get them talking. Right?
I love that.
And I do need to send out my New Year cards to my clients, but on the bottom of each one, I plan to also put that now I am doing real estate, and kind of like plug myself that I would love to help them.
Love that.
My hairdresser is my source. She tells me so and so. I got a listing right across the street from her house because she told me he mentioned he was moving. So yeah, tell as many people as you can what you do, and they people want to help you.
Yeah.
Just tell them how. You just have to tell them how.
Yes.
Love that. All right. So what are the benefits of asking questions versus telling in a conversation? What did you hear from that video?
I'll answer that one. This is Jennifer Markello. When you're asking questions, you're digging deep and you're learning what their motivation is, and it's just sparking the conversation, but you're also sort of controlling the direction of the conversation.
That's right. So you're controlling the direction of the conversation. You're digging deeper. Those are the benefits, right? You're getting to know your client, their wants and their needs, and those objections, right, at a higher level. Love that.
It shows that you care.
It does show you care.
Being a Pisces, I care about everybody.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and I'm a Pisces too. So there you go.
Something to be said. So the next question is, what are some things that you can do in a conversation to show the other party that you're truly listening?
I could answer.
Go ahead.
You can make eye contact, make sure that you give responses other than like, specific responses. And sometimes, and then when they're done talking, kind of repeat back some of what they said with some more input or questions.
Exactly. I love that, Jessica. So what I heard you saying was this, is that correct? And that's a great way to get clarification and make sure that you heard it the way that they meant for you to hear it. So that is a great point. I love that.
Yeah, Lorna, and we know that most of our consumers, and I mean all of them when I say most, everybody is either a kinesthetic learner, a visionary learner, or an auditory learner. So if I know that Lorna is driven by the auditory, that's when I'll say, I hear what you're saying. So what I'm hearing you say, right? If she's kinesthetic, I understand how you feel, right? And if you're comfortable, and we're not doing this during COVID, and you're not doing this if you're creepy, but you might even reach across the table and touch their arm, right? And just physically connect with them if they are kinesthetic, and if they're visual. So I see what you're talking about. Just that simple usage of those words, they feel more connected. As soon as you start to explain to the person that you're hearing them at the highest level, to Lorna's point, they'll feel more connected. Ultimately, after they leave the experience with us, if they feel heard and cared for, we win.
Yeah. Even on a Zoom call, I tend to lean into the camera because I need that connection. And it's interesting. You can tell people that also need it by the way they're communicating even through Zoom.
Well, Jeff Glover, who just did that video that Lorna played when he was here in the Seacoast area with us 2 years ago, fall, he was talking about the fact, and Jason Abrams has talked about this. Gary's joked about it. Mirror and matching when you're sitting across the table from them, or if you're on Zoom, like if you both have a drink, and again, if they offer you coffee or tea or anything, just take it so you have it, so you're accepting of their hospitality. And it's not mirror and match to the extent that if they take a sip, you take a sip, because that comes across as a little maniacal. But if they take a sip and you're not thirsty, just touch your glass. If they lean in, you lean in. If they sit back, you sit back. But if they're sitting there with their arms crossed, you want to break that ice. So you want to lean in. You don't want to sit back with your arms crossed like you're just having like a pissing match. I mean, we want to mirror and match them, but also draw them out of their shell. But not to the point like he scratched his forehead, I'll scratch my forehead. Not that much. But to the best of our ability, stay on the same plane with them so they feel like they are, simpatico with you, if that makes any sense.
I do want to stress a drink, non-alcoholic. If someone is drinking wine or beer and they offer you one, do not.
Yeah, well, that's a great point too. I've had veteran agents who have come in and they went to their best friend's house for a listing appointment. And the wine's already poured, the pot roast is already going, they're staying for dinner, and they never stay in that professional moment and make their friend feel like a client. They make their friend feel like their friend, and they lost the listing.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Pot roast smells great, Lorna. I'm looking forward to dinner. Let's get down to business.
Yeah.
Yes. And drink the water. Have the wine after the contract is signed. Yes.
That's exactly right. And it's tempting. Believe me, I've been in that position too. It is really tempting, but I think they gain respect for you to draw the line between
Well, the other
business and.
point is you don't want them to, that they should not be drinking and signing contracts. So that is, you know. and
Yeah, well, I think sometimes at one point we were going through offers and they were sitting outside. They were
Sure.
like, they had, 10 offers. I wanted to drink too. But I didn't, and they had theirs, and I think they respected that.
One other thing, if I may, you also want to have an open body posture that's receptive, as opposed to, arms crossed or closed off. And I'm sitting like this now because I'm in a very weird little chair and I have no desk. So
You look like you're in a closet.
A closet might be better, truly, because I've got books on a table. I've got this chair against, right in the corner. So, but an open body posture is important as part of communication.
Yeah, I love that, which brings us right to the next question, which was how does tone of voice and body language affect conversation?
I had an aha from the video regarding this, is that you kind of want to mimic the tempo and the voice and body language of your client, because we might go into a conversation very upbeat and happy, and they might be going through a difficult time in their life. So I think that it's kind of cognizant for us to make sure that we're paying attention and really listening to them and kind of keeping tempo with how they're feeling at that moment.
I agree. That's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up.
I would definitely agree with that too. And to build off of that, we have in our market center, we have a 8:15 script and role play practice every day. So like the pros do it at 8:15, and they're very big on the mirror and match as far as like tone of voice and stuff, because we've got some really different personalities in there. And so you can see when somebody will slow right down for the other. Everybody kind of picks up on that, and it just goes a lot more smoothly. And like you said, someone could be going through something terrible, and you're like, hi, blah, blah, blah. Nobody likes that.
I love, thank you for saying that. No, those were all great points. And, tonality, I tend to talk really fast, really loud. In case you haven't noticed, I'm a little bit loud. So I have to really be careful and bring it down a notch. Jen Giroux has very similar personality to me, where we talk very quickly and really fast and high, louder.
Lorna has actually yelled at me in the office. She was teaching a class and I was in the hallway yapping, and she came out and said, I am in a class. Keep it down. That's exactly what she said. And then of course I giggled like I was 12. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Can I make one additional comment? And then if you'd like, I'm sure we've had a lot of great discussion today, by the way. I'm picking up a lot of things I never even thought of before. So it's been great. One thing I do when I've had many Zoom situations since April, is when you're talking to somebody and they're maybe you get them to open up, you get them going and everything, and they tell you something sad. One thing I have found, and maybe my yoga practice helped me with this, was just go like this, or lean forward a little bit and say, oh, I'm really sorry. But I think expressing empathy is really important, especially now.
That's a great point, Donna. And especially, I agree with, especially right now, everyone needs a little bit softer and a little bit more caring. And I am definitely that person who drills through things and keeps going, if you haven't noticed that yet. So I think it's really important that we all make sure that we are slowing down, especially in these times, to be aware of the energy that's in the Zoom room, as well as in a regular room, as well as from text message, as well as from a phone call. And really, that is why I'm going to bring it all right back to scripts. That is why it's important to have more than one script in your tool belt, so you can pivot quickly if need be, if the conversation goes in a different direction.
Can I just say real quickly, I didn't hear anybody say this, but I learned this years ago, in being in an online, I was in an online position for, not online, I'm sorry, a phone position for a while. And if you just smile, sometimes even if you're not in the best of mood, but when you speak to someone on the phone, if you just smile when you speak, you will sound differently. People know when you're smiling through the phone, and it makes a world of difference. So just to kind of change your tone and how the words come out of your mouth, if you smile right before you start to speak and while you're speaking, you'll sound completely different than if you just keep that same, like if your face is monotone and you're just talking like this, versus if you smile, you kind of, the air comes out of your mouth differently.
That's
So-
awesome, Kelly. That's so true.
We are going to be
People can tell that you're smiling when you wear a mask as well. When you're wearing a mask, it's evident if you're smiling. Yep.
Yeah, you can see the
Nice.
line. I have the closed eyes and the crow's feet showing.
I wanted to add to Kelly's point too. I think that's awesome. And I had noted that too, to be smiling, and that's going to be so helpful in your own posture over a phone call or whatever. But I also make sure that I'm trying to acknowledge what they said, repeat back, but to validate it. I don't have to agree with what they said or judge them in any way, but oh, that's understandable, or it's natural that you would feel that way, or you have every right to think that, or that makes 100% sense, something like that. Just, I think, helps them see that you are, or listen, that you are listening, and feel comfortable.
I love that, Barb, as well. And I think that that is really important. And everybody wants to feel heard, right? And that is the best way to do it. And even again, yeah, I love that you said you don't have to agree, but it's important that you acknowledge, right? Because everybody wants that. So guess what? Guess what time it is?
Scripts.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Oh.
But it has been an hour and 40 minutes that we have all been sitting here with coffee and water. So we're all, including your instructor, going to take a 5-minute break. It is 10:40. Just mute yourself, keep your picture on or keep it off. It does not matter to me. 5 minutes. We are going to get back started, finish it up, do some scripts, and do some lead generation together.
And we just have one question. Maybe we can address it after the break or now. But Elizabeth asks, how do we know what type of learner someone is? Or do we apply all three to everyone, whether it's visual, audio? How would you go about that strategy?
All right. I will answer that when we get back. That is a great question. Remind me, Evan, when we get back.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
5 minutes,
I
everybody.
was trying to get in there, but it was really tough when everyone was chiming in. I appreciate
That's all right.
it.
Elizabeth, I promise we'll answer it as soon as we get back from break. That'll be the first question.
Sounds good.
All right. 5 minutes, everybody.
Cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or dial 611 for customer assistance.
Hi, Debbie Moore with Keller Williams, Joe DeLibero with Keller Williams. Hey, Debbie, if it made financial sense, would you meet with me for 30 minutes so I can show you how I get home sold? How's that for a script, sister? Give me a call when you get a time. Bye. Number is 401-219-1745. Again, 401-219-1745.
Hey, Joseph, you're not unmuted, or you are unmuted.
What's that?
You're unmuted.
Oh, shit. I just gave Debbie a script and while the 5-minute break, and she had reached out to me. So one of the things I've been saying as a script, and I also actually put this to video as well. I said, if it made financial sense, would you meet with me for 30 minutes so I can show you how I get home sold? And I put the pauses in there as well. And while this has been going on, I've been sending out emails with that video to all the expired listings and withdrawn listings. So I do a lot of videos like that, asking great questions and getting them to respond that way.
Nice job. Nice
So
job.
that's what I do.
Happy New Year to you. I just want to let you know you were unmuted.
All right. Well, hey, I'm sorry about that. I let that one go.
Bye.
Oh, hold on. Let me put the video back on. What the hell? I do have a lot of Tom Ferry scripts. One of the things I haven't heard any mention of yet is, and I would share them. I was looking for the scripts. I have them somewhere. But we don't do the COVID scripts. I haven't heard any COVID scripts and the objections with COVID. And, that's important because a lot of people, I've had a lot of clients withdraw their listings because of COVID. And so one of the scripts I may use on a person who has, his withdrawing listing because of COVID is I'll go over the safety guidelines. I'll have a safety guideline sheet with me and say, well, this is how I'm going to show your house during COVID. And, maybe a virtual tours. We're going to set these guidelines. So minimum amount of people coming into the house at one time for your protection. We're going to wipe everything down when we're finished. But to get them to list during COVID, because that is the new reality and it doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. So you want to address those issues. And also tell them I've been selling houses through COVID, throughout COVID. In April when we had a low, according to Showtime inventory levels, as far as showings are really low, we bottomed out. I still sold a house in April and we sold it safely. So, so addressing the COVID issues, I think is a big thing right now, and addressing limited inventories is another big thing right now. Where am I going to go once I sell? There's no inventory out there. So you have to have I think you have to have a response to that as well. What I've been telling them there is, well, you know what, let that buyer buy that house at that great low rate, lock in that rate, and then maybe rent it back from them. And that'll give you some more time to go look for a house. In the meantime, they own the house. I don't know, right?
Hi, Joe. I'm not sure where you guys, what you were answering, but
Oh, well, I'm off cue.
talking about COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I think addressing COVID is a really big concern for a lot of people right now. Obviously, duh. So
Yeah. No, and I liked your point. I heard you saying that you sold a house in April, even with COVID, and
I sold many houses during COVID.
yeah,
Not enough. I've lost transactions because of COVID or delays because of COVID. But houses have been selling through COVID, and they can sell. You can sell them safely. And by the way, with low inventory rates, you can get top dollar.
right. And so using data, if you're talking with clients, it's very
Yeah, absolutely.
easy to pull up MLS. I know, I was showing someone yesterday how to use MLS. In one of the towns, there were 3 single-family homes.
Yeah.
Across all price points. Another town, 4. And so being able to say, like, in the last however many months, this many homes have sold, but right now we only have 3. There are so many buyers, so using the data and using designs and having conversation on social media, through emails, letting the world know, you guys have to share the story. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that conversation came up, but I think it was a good conversation. So thank you.
By the way, when you list your house, hopefully that'll free up some inventory. And if enough people do that, that kind of thing, there'll be more houses available for you to buy.
Exactly.
But the other conversation I'm thinking about is telling them that, hey, now's the time to sell your house because of COVID, because of low inventory levels. And if you wait, you're gonna have, what's gonna happen with all these withdrawn listings and expired listings, right? They're gonna start putting them back on the market when people start getting vaccines in their arms. And what happens with supply and demand? With more supply, the price is gonna drop.
That is totally possible. It probably, hopefully will take a little while for that to happen. Yet again, all the
Well, that's
people,
my message right now.
and I've been talking very similar with people about that as well. Thank you for being back, Tim Lindsay, because Elizabeth had a question. Since you brought it up, I figured you could answer it. Evan, or Elizabeth, you want to unmute and say your question again?
Sure. So I think it's important for me to really make the other person or client feel like I'm understanding what they're saying. And I think making sure that you understand how they learn is really important. So I liked your point, Timothy, about whether they're audio, visual, or I forget the other one, but how do
Kinesthetic.
you know, how do you know what type of learner they are? And if you don't, you just hit on all three. What's your approach and tactic to that?
Yeah, wouldn't it be remarkable to be able to give them the VAC assessment ahead of time? I need you to fill out the property disclosures and then take these personality tests. That would be awesome. So this is why I encourage people. And I know in the onset of the KPA, which is a remarkable tool, a lot of people have stepped away from using DISC assessments. I think a DISC assessment at the agent level within our market center, I still utilize it here. I do that in tandem with the KPA. The DISC assessment and understanding your high D, high I, high SIC will start to enlighten you on that. I think most importantly, and there's books online, there are assessments online for what they call the VAC assessment, which is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. I think the better we understand how we present and how we learn and how we wish to communicate will ultimately give us a better insight on the person across the table from me. You know, I'll pick on the average American engineer. When I sit down with, Ted, the average American engineer, he's probably a high D, high C in the DISC, which means he wants all the right information yesterday, right? And I know that I'm a high I, high S. I go ISDC. I want to talk, then I want to hug, then I want to get it done, and I don't care about the paperwork. The problem there is I will, as you're all saying right now, God, he talks a lot. I know, I've met me, right? So I know the high D, high C wants me to shut up soon with all the facts. So getting back to texting, right? I know that when I have an open house with John Q. Citizen, the average American engineer, and his bubbly wife, Stacy, who loves me because she likes to talk too, right? I know when I text them and say the open house just wrapped, he wants to know, did anybody die? I'll say no, and I'll send him the stats of the information I got from the people that came through the house. Stacy wants to know how many families came through. What were the wives wearing? How do I feel? What is the average barometer? Like, what's the air temperature? Like, she wants to know all the things, and knowing that and being able to communicate with these people at a higher level will be important. So is there any way to actually find out somebody's VAC when you meet them? No, I think understanding ours. So I encourage you to go on Google and just punch in VAC assessment. There's a myriad of them. You should be able to find one that you can take for free. And I think the better we understand our DISC and our VAC, there's another great book. It's the 5 Love Languages. And all of these, this seems like a lot of stuff. The better we know how we function as humans on this planet, the better we will be able to serve other people with our skill sets and our passions. So that's another book you can look up. It's the 5 Love Languages. You know, are you a person who shows your care through acts of service? Are you somebody who compliments? A phenomenal book. And I think the better we have an understanding of us and the gifts that we present to this planet, the better we'll be able to serve people. And you'll be able to identify these skills and needs in other people. So there's no easy answer unless you start sending people the VAC assessment, which might be a little, that could be a little good. Listen, I need a vial of your blood. I need you to take these 4 tests, and then I'll be over Sunday at 2 to do the paperwork. Might not go well.
No,
So to that point, Tim, I'm sorry, Lorna, you want to brush this. Usually there's, if it's a couple, they're the opposite. So you're going to have the engineer / scientist, which is my husband, and me. And you gotta win them both over. And the other side of this, and someone told me this, that they had an agent, lifelong agent, this woman, they have a lot of properties. She said she fired her because the woman the agent kept talking to her husband, and she took major offense to it. And she told me that when I first got my license, she said, please just talk to both of them, not just one. So that has always,
Yeah, great point, Jen. I think if you sit down and you think you're wicked smart enough to figure out who the determinator is, you
Yeah,
know,
doesn't
they are
matter.
both at the kitchen table because they both have
Yeah.
stock in this house. They're
That's
both
right.
decision makers. That's who's at the kitchen table.
Mhm.
Speaking to them in their each of them in their individual love languages and giving them what they need to move forward. That's why
Exactly.
when two people from a real estate team go to a kitchen table, there's usually Talkosaurus Rex, that would be me, and then there's Statosaurus Rex, right?
Mhm.
And my listing assistant is sitting next to me saying, so Tim's can't seem to shut up, and it sounds like he's making this up. Here are all the stats that prove that he's not. And they have the
Yeah.
pie charts and the bar graphs.
That's right.
Because my engineer wants tangible stats.
That's right.
He's a kinesthetic learner. I want to see it and feel it. She
Yep.
wants to hear pretty words.
Right.
But then when I leave, he might not love me. She'll be like, I actually did love him. He knew what strappy sandals were. He can't seem to
Yeah.
shut up. I like him a lot, right?
Right.
So I appreciate Jen said we have to win them both over. You have to win the day.
Yeah.
You have to
And if
make
it's
them
a-
both feel cared for, and you have to ultimately win. You have to win the family or win the decision makers together.
And even if, especially if it's a divorce situation, because you do have to deal with both of them, it's
It's a
something
pleasure.
that you say, oh, it's so much fun. It's really just so fun. You basically, I set the tone by saying, if one person responds to me that's not in the group chat, I'm going to reply all. Just keep that in mind, because I'm not taking sides. I'm here to sell your house. And if you text me privately, I'm going to reply all, just so watch what you say. And I think they actually really appreciate it.
Is there a class for that?
So you know what, Donna, I was just going to chime in. So thank you for teeing that right up for me. The region is putting together a DISC class for the region wide, and we're just confirming the date today, but it's going to be happening within the next month with one of our team leaders in New England. Her name is Laura Strunk. She's been a productivity coach. She has a large team out in Maryland, and she knows DISC really, really well. So she's going to be instructing it with us. It's going to be within the next month. Keep your eyes open. As soon as I have that date, guys, I'll let you know about it. But it'll be coming up soon, and you'll want to take it. It's amazing.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for letting us know.
Oh, and one other thing, is there a class on how to present to people going through a divorce?
That would probably be more market center specific. You know, and I would say that in my opinion, you're treating them like you would treat any other couple. They are both on the deed and the mortgage. If they both are, and you have to like Jen Giroux's point, is make sure that everybody's included in the decision making. Any questions? All right.
Another limiting belief of mine then.
Of working with people who are getting divorced?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good time.
You know,
Yeah, and requires extra wine.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, well,
Whoever said that, yes.
I know, but we can't drink while we're working.
Oh, Kendra.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Hey, so ladies, I sold wine for a living for 15 years, so.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This has been, like, I think Donna said, great discussion today. Lots of interaction, which is awesome. And I want to make sure we stay on track to keep going. So without any further ado, we're going to talk next. I'm going to share my screen again about our next thing, which is memorizing scripts.
Ooh.
Right? Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry I have to leave, because this is a good point.
So
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye,
Bye.
Jen.
Bye.
Thank you. So thinking about
for supper.
So thinking about scripts, right, and memorizing scripts, we first want to think about why is it important that we memorize them? And I think a lot of us have already talked about that it gives confidence, that we know what to say, that we can become better listeners. But what I'd like you all to do right now is to go to page 6 of your book, of your participation guide. It looks like this on my screen. Do you see it? Everybody see that page?
Yes.
And what I want you to think about, I'm going to break you back out into rooms, and I want you to think about and discuss. You're only going to have like 4 or 5 minutes. what are 3 negative consequences to failing to learn scripts? So we're going to come up with a list in your groups, and then we're going to come back and share some ahas about that. Any questions before I break you out? All right, so let's make sure we're sticking to, we need to come back with 3 negative consequences to failing to learn scripts. I'm going to recreate the groups just so you meet different people. And all right, everybody have fun. Oh, Jen, you might get put into a group.
Lorna, I'll be here for the rest of the hour. So if you needed me for anything, just let me know. I'm just not going to be looking right at you.
I'm texting you right now, actually.
Okay, great.
Lorna, there wasn't anyone in my breakout room.
I will put you in another room, Kelly. Thank you for letting me know. What room were you in before, Kelly?
It was 11. There's no one in there.
All right, we'll move you to another room so you can have a good discussion. Be careful driving.
I am. I'm very careful.
I just put you in another room. You're
Hi,
welcome.
Luna.
Hi,
This is Matt.
Matthew.
How are you? I also was a single participant in my
All right,
room.
what room were you in?
39.
39. Okay, let me get down there and I'll move you to another room.
I didn't have, I don't have a thing to go into another room. I'm fine if you want to. I mean, I can talk to whoever that is. If you want to just talk right here.
I also don't have a room. I got disconnected
All
when
right,
I was
well,
trying to join.
what we're going to do is this, everybody. Those of you who are here with us, if you want to, let's talk about it together.
Okay.
So what are 3 negative consequences about not learning scripts? What are the negative ramifications of that? Matthew, go ahead.
The first one I have is you say, I don't know, because that's what he said you don't want to say in a sit down meeting.
So you wouldn't be prepared?
Correct. Yeah.
So not being prepared.
Yep. Not knowing the answers to their questions.
That's right. So great answer. I love that. What else?
It comes off like I piggyback off of what he says, not being prepared. When you're like, I've had this experience, they start saying things in there, or they're asking you certain questions. Like, for example, FSBO, right? And or an expired listing. And when you call and you ask them, why, are you still trying to sell? Knowing that they haven't, trying to get them to stay on the phone with you. And you're like, are you still interested in selling your house? And they say no, then, they're like, well, can I ask you why not? But then when they start to give you answers, and then you say, well, I want to be, if you would allow me to, I can assist you in trying to sell your house. I have a great team support moving onward. And then they start asking you questions, but you, especially as a new agent, you don't know these things if you're not educated in this field. So you like immediately lose their trust. And it's just like, they already failed in trying to sell it, or whoever was trying to help them prior. How are they supposed to trust you? Like, that automatic feeling of trust or understanding from you, that it's lost right there.
So what I heard you saying is that you lose the trust by not having scripts and being prepared.
Yes.
So kind of a second negative consequence is you lose trust. Not being prepared, losing trust. What's a third one?
You might talk
I
about
think that one of the biggest benefits of knowing your scripts is that you don't have to think about what to say. When not always just when you're approaching someone about the business, but when they're asking you something, or especially if they have something that a FISBO or an expired, and then they have that well, no, or if they want to ask you, and Kim Lindsay did this with me, and it was an aha for me about scripts. When someone then says, well, where were you? And where scripts will help you to where you don't have to go, when you practice your scripts and you're saying things regularly and you're really getting the language, then it's automatic. It'll come to you, and you don't have to get that deer in the headlights look.
So Kelly,
So it's helping you.
we kept losing you a little bit, but what I think is that I heard you say is the negative consequences, just not knowing a response. Correct?
Yeah, not having a response. Yes, yeah. You don't have to think about what to say.
You don't have to think about what to say. Thank you. I'm pretty sorry we lost you a little bit. And I saw Kyle show his picture. Did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I mean, I'm sort of aligned to what everyone is saying. I come from sort of a retail sales background and completely understand that there's an importance to sort of sticking to a structure, because without it, you don't know where you're going, and there's not sort of a clear end point. So script sort of serves as that map, and obviously there's different ways to get to the end, but there's sort of that path that you want to make sure you're sticking to the whole time.
So the negative consequence would be that you
don't get to that
the
end
path,
point.
right? You don't get to the point of making an appointment, getting them to make an offer, any of the things that we're working on.
Exactly.
I love that. Guys, these were some great things. I'm going to close everybody out and see if we can hear some more ideas. But thank you for staying in with me and sharing. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? We're waiting for everybody to come back.
I was just thinking, if you have all your ducks in a row, you get to their objective quicker. Whereas if you didn't have a script, you might go quote unquote off script and not get to their objective, kind of go in tangents if you don't have a focus.
Right, exactly. So nope. All right. Thank you for my group that stayed with me. And so I would love to hear from everybody else a few ahas about the negative consequences.
Can I speak?
Of course you can.
I just want to make sure. So basically, losing confidence when you don't have a script. You get stuck, you don't know. There were times when I lost a deal because of not knowing what to say.
Right. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So right. So the negative consequence is losing deals.
Basically.
Right. Okay. I like that. What else?
I liked what my partner just said, and a negative consequence is not having your own time managed very well. Like you can just sort of let the conversation meander and not really have your goal set of where you're supposed to go, and it can just take a long time.
Exactly. So keeping time management. I love that.
Well,
especially if you're a high I, like I am, and Jen and Tim and many people on here are, right?
Yep.
We start chatting down different paths, which is then brings us, and we all of a sudden at the end, oh, we didn't even go over the market analysis or get through the buyer consultation because you went down one path. So the scripts help keep you in alignment with what you need to get done in the time allotted. Because if you tell somebody, let's have an appointment for a half hour, and it takes an hour, what happens?
They lose trust in you.
They lose trust in you, and then they start to get annoyed too, right? So I think it's really important to stick to it. So one of the things that's really important in these scripts is not only we hear what could happen, and I don't want that for any of you. right? I want you to not feel those negative consequences. So the first thing we talk about is internalizing scripts, right? We first have to memorize, then we internalize, and then eventually we can personalize, adding our personality and flair to it. But the main beginning is that memorize. So what Jen is going to jump in here, and she is going to talk about the different steps in learning a script. And it's such a systematic way. You guys, your minds are going to be blown away right now. Take it away, Miss Jen.
All right, so it's going to be Jen and Tim. So Tim, are you on?
I hope so. Yeah.
All right, there you are. All right, so we're going to work this together. So Lorna, thank you very much for a great job today. We will see you soon. Okay, so we are on page 7 of your handout. Make sure you have that open and ready. Tim, I'm sure you have that right in front of you as well.
I don't, but thanks for the heads up. I've got the PDF that I've sent out to everybody, but I haven't opened it yet, so I'll get there. Stand by.
All right, awesome. All right, so the first one, does anybody see what the first one is for the 6 steps to memorizing your scripts? Chris, I see you nodding your head, so I'm going to pick on you. What does it say?
All right, it says read.
Yeah.
The first sentence of the script out loud 5 times. When you read your script out loud, you're engaging your eyes, your voice, and your entire body.
Yeah, read it 5 times out loud. Has anybody done that before? Anybody prepare for any kind of presentation or script before where you've had to do something like this? Anyone here?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
What does it usually do when you start doing that and you read it over and over and over again?
Gives you the confidence because you're sitting there and now you know what you're talking about. So your posture changes, your tone changes, everything about you changes. And that power that you give, people are like, oh, wow, she really knows what she's talking about. Wow, she's really well spoken. Wow, I really can relate to what she's saying and I want to hear more.
It works well. Right. Works well for public speaking gigs as well.
Right. And you know what? Here's the thing, Matt, this is exactly what we're doing. When we're presenting to a seller or a buyer, we're doing public speaking. And by doing these same techniques, you're preparing yourself to be able to do first-time home buyer presentations, to do VA process presentations, to do any presentation you need by following this process of memorizing your scripts. So I highly encourage you guys to dog ear this page and look it over. So the first thing, like my friend Chris here said, is to read it out loud 5 times. What's the next one? Anybody want to help me with the next one? I like participation. I know Lorna does
great
too.
point you make too. If you think about when you guys sit and read a book and when you're gliding your eyes over the words, we can all read super fast. When's the last time you read out loud? And I'll use a perfect example, the Realtor Code of Ethics that we read before our board meetings. Nathan Dickey loves that he has it memorized. He makes fun of all of us for having to reach to the center of the table to grab that card to read it because we don't have it memorized. And people like, well, I know what I've read it. Yeah. How many times have you read it? Have you read it enough to have it memorized? And really important because so you're not stumbling over those words. So you can have the conversation and it is conversational, right?
Absolutely. All right. So who's going to read me the next one? After read, what do we do next?
I'll read it. It's repeat the same sentence 5 times with a smile on your face. You will notice a difference in your tonality when you say it with a smile. Try standing in front of a mirror. Watch your body language as you repeat your script.
Perfect. And Melody, you said it perfectly before you said it, where it gives you that confidence and you stand differently. And when you see yourself doing it, you could then you're able to say, oh, you know what? I have to stop saying the ums. Anybody have an problem?
Absolutely.
I had to work on that for a very long time. The after almost everything, you don't even realize you're saying it. If you know what I'm talking about or have realized this, you don't even realize you're saying it until you listen back and hear those ums. So you got to work on it. I love it.
I know a lot of people might not be spending a lot of time in their market centers as of late. When you do march around a market center, look at some of the top performers. They probably have a stand-up scripting station in their office where they spend their mornings, and they probably have a mirror in front of them. So they can.
Chris Heller was a huge component of the mirror. Do you guys remember who Chris Heller was? He still is a very top agent within Keller Williams. And that's how he did his scripts. standing up in front of a mirror. My desk that I'm sitting at right now is a stand-up desk. I love this thing. If you guys don't have one, I suggest getting an extension up, because you know it changes the way that your energy is or your shoulders are. And especially now in the day of Zoom, standing up is key, I think, Tim. So good point. All right, what's the next one? Anybody want to read that one? Go ahead, Jennifer.
I'll read it. So we're on the third one, right? Read the second line of the script out loud 10 times while smiling.
Okay,
Well,
so the next thing to do is just to read that out loud 10 times. And what was that key word at the end there?
While smiling.
While smiling, right? Sometimes we get caught up in like the nerves of it and we're like, right? Our faces are just tense and everything. Just try, like, even if you have to force it, smile while you read it 10 times. It's like an affirmation. The more you do it, it's like a habit. It just happens. All right, who wants to do the say for me? The first say.
I'll do it.
Thanks, Karen.
Say the script from memory, recite the first 2 sentences out loud 10 times with a smile. If you make a mistake, start over from the beginning.
What are you guys hearing from these steps so far?
Smile.
What do you think that this is helping us with?
Smile.
Smile. Smile. I like that, Tiffany. What else?
Repetition.
Repetition. Once you have the system down, that is your system to follow for anything that you want to learn. All right, who's going to say my next say line? I think it's the 5th one down.
I can say it.
Okay, Debbie, thank you.
Say, continue adding 1 sentence at a time, repeating 10 times. Anytime you make a mistake, go back to the beginning.
Love that. Love that, right? Anything you want to add to that, Tim?
This is like the 66-day challenge, right? If you go into the onething.com and print out that calendar of the 66 blocks, which Jeff Woods tells us, just hang it on your fridge. And when you do whatever you set out to do for 66 days, just check the box. If you miss a day, you start over, right? And it's not to admonish you or punish you. It's just to bring you back to like, okay, let's start the process again. And once you get that script nailed, then it becomes part of you. So you can just exercise it when the need arises, and you can start working on the next script.
It's like brushing your teeth. Let's
Yes,
face it,
yes.
right?
You don't think about tying your shoes. You don't think about brushing your teeth. Hopefully, hopefully it just happens. These words will start to turn into your personal language of sales, and it becomes conversational, because everyone's number one answer on the board is, I don't want to sound scripty. I don't want to sound scripted. I don't want to sound salesy. And when you're just opening your mouth and communicating with these people, you sound like a genius, yet they don't realize that you worked on this over and over and over again. And Jeff Glover said earlier, think about the NFL team that spends 50 to 60 hours practicing for a 60-minute game, right? Which clearly we didn't do enough here in New England, but that's beside the point.
We're not talking about that, Tim.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, but I know there's a sore spot for Bovie. Anyway, yeah, so I mean, think about the time that we currently aren't putting into our practice. And that's what this boils down to. So when we can be conversational, when we do get that at bat, we can knock it out of the park.
You know, just to kind of piggyback off that, you know, during a football game, they didn't just practice that whole week before. During the game, by the way, what are they doing? They're looking at the play that just happened before and saying, how do we do it better next time? Yeah. How do we do it better next time? Keep that in mind as you're doing these, because even if you're on a live listing appointment, think about how it went, take notes as soon as you're done, and figure out a way to work on it for next time to kind of tweak it and make it a little better. Okay, so it's just a nice little sports tip for you. All right, who's going to read my last one for us to finish up our 6 steps to memorizing our scripts?
I can read it if you want.
Thank you, Anne.
Okay, say the entire script as fast as you can 5 times in a row. Your chances of stumbling when reading the script at a normal pace after you have practiced and chanted them is very small.
This is my favorite one. Has anybody tried this before? Like read something as fast as they can so many times in a row? I love this because I teach a forms class in Rhode Island, and there's a form called the, oh my goodness, it's the personal relationship form. So if you are related to anybody, now it's kind of a funny thing because in Rhode Island, basically everybody's related to everybody somehow, like the Kevin Bacon thing, right? 6 degrees. Yeah. So I have the class read out as fast as they can the sentence of who you have to acknowledge. It's like cousin-in-law, step cousin-in-law, and it goes through. It's so much fun to hear everybody read this fast. So that's my favorite step. So don't skip any one of these, especially that last one. All right, Tim, what are we doing next?
Stand by.
Should I tell them or do you want?
I'm scrolling down. No, I'm scrolling down. I'm going to my PDF, which is on the same screen because I have Facebook on my iPad. I apologize. We're going to do role play. I'm going to break into role play.
Right. No stranger to this today. We're going to go out and role play. We're going to do bigger rooms this time, just so that way you do have to, we're running into some small room challenges where people weren't in there. So we're going to do larger rooms this time. And pick any script, and you pick the person who's going to start first, and pick any script from the script PDF that you guys have. Tim, did we share that with them today already?
I can drop those in the chat again right now. Absolutely, stand by. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So as Tim's doing that, let me just kind of set this exercise up. When you go into your room, you're going to pick the person that's birthday is closest to today to start off, and then you're going to go around the room on reading a script. And you're going to pick your script out, and Tim's throwing in the script book. Tim, you sent that directly to me instead of everybody.
You're welcome. I know that's because you were private messaging me.
So he's putting that in the chat right now. Download it, pick your script. We're going to give you about, how long do we have here? Do you know, Tim, how long we get in this?
This is probably going to run, let's go 7.5 minutes. We'll keep
7.5 minutes.
Why not? Let's be super specific. We'll be on
Okay.
point.
All right. So about
both
8
of those
minutes.
script books are there. Download those to your desktop where you can use Spark today. Obviously, Elementals is for the next 9 sessions on the second half of the month, but there's both script books broken out of the materials.
All right, clarity. You're going to pick a script. Each one of you are going to pick a script. You're then going to go in the room, in a room. The person with the birthday closest to today starts, and then it goes around from there. Any questions? Okay, guys, here we go. I got to recreate here.
I can't find the link for the script.
It's in the chat. If you see the chat box at the bottom of the Zoom window.
Yeah, it's not there.
At 11:19, there should be 2 PDFs, one Spark, one's Elementals.
Yeah, I don't see
Yeah,
them
it's
either.
not in my chat either.
I think when we went into the breakout rooms, it erased all the earlier chats.
I just posted it again, though.
Oh, you did? Sweet. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
But I didn't see it in the new post either.
There is no PDF files there, just description, Spark, and
I have them.
Did you post them to a specific person accidentally, Tim?
No,
I know
there-
I've done that a few
It
times.
says me to everyone, unless you all have me
No,
blocked, which I would
have it.
completely understand.
I have it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, I did.
Maybe if
supposed to be
people
open?
exit their chat and go back in.
Do people have Adobe Flash Drive? Like,
I'm gonna
Yeah,
Or what you could do is
that.
go
You're
on
talking
to the Facebook group, and in the units, you could find the script book there as well.
It's going to take me a few minutes. Give me a sec.
Yeah, I
Yes,
was
no
able to
problem.
print-
All right, so we're gonna break you off into the rooms, and we got about 8 minutes to do the scripts, just like we just went through, by the way. Just like we went through these, okay? Here we go. All right, everybody left on my screen here. Did you not get a room, or? Good,
I don't have got the invitation, but it's not letting me accept it.
Not letting you accept it. Interesting.
I know. I've had no issues with the other one.
All right, so if you just cancel it, and then I'll try and put you in another room.
Okay.
All right, I have Karen, Elizabeth, Suzanne. Do you guys need rooms? Looks like Elizabeth, Karen, Catherine, and Kristen are left. Anybody need a room?
I walked away and didn't hear the segment. I have a contractor at my house, so should I just sit tight and catch up?
It's totally up to you, Terry. We're doing script practice. If you go in a room, then you'll hear scripts and then you could read one as well.
I'm a little distracted at the moment, so I'm just gonna sit tight until this part's finished.
You got it.
Instead of going into a room, but thank you.
Is it possible that you could put me in a room again? I was just able to get the scripts.
Yes.
Thank you.
Me as well too. I didn't get a invite.
All right, Allison, let me find you on here.
Thank you. Got one. Thank you.
Yep. If you want to get moved into a room, just let me know. We have about 24 of us on here, most of you without a camera on. So if you do not want to move into a room and you want to chat here, that's fine. Hey, David, how's it going? If you're talking to me, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
I said, I'm just trying to, I left my room because I can't seem to get these scripts. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Zoom.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't see them.
They're
It's
not in
almost
your
like
chat section here?
my chats every time I switch chats, the chat is empty. Like every time I go from, there's no, it's just blank.
All right, I'm going to try and put it in here now for you and see if you could get it. And I would definitely, I don't know if you have a printer, but I would encourage printing them out too. They're really great.
Yeah, I'd like to. I just, like I said, I'm trying. So you're back on Zoom now? All right.
No, we're still in the rooms. You're just in the main room.
Okay. So I'm going to go to, I guess I'll do this on my computer because they're not coming up on my phone. I've been doing this on my phone.
Okay. That's probably a little bit of the challenge.
Yeah, I had Facebook on the computer, but I can't find it there. So when I opened Zoom, it put me in a different room. So I was.
Have you tried going into Facebook and looking under more, and then it says files? And when you open up files, that's where the scripts are.
Thank you. I don't know who that was, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to. Takes me a second. I'm not.
It's all right. For some reason, I'm not able to download these myself. So
I don't know.
David, what's your email? I'll send them over to you.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much. It's Dave Sepp, SEP at gmail.com. I mean, excuse me, at kw.com.
It's Dave, not David, right?
Yes.
DaveSepp@gmail.com.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Give me a little bit, but I'll get them over to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Robert, how's it going? You're on mute if you're talking.
I'm good. How's your day going?
Going well. All right, let me close out all these rooms here. Have everybody come filtering back. Any questions for me? How is your breakout room?
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Well, I mean, when it comes to scripting, I mean, I've like I mentioned to you, I was working as an adjuster for 12 years. So face-to-face interactions with customers and contractors and vendors is actually pretty, routine for me. So it's just learning what I have to say to the buyers and the sellers, and it'll come in time. But I have no problem getting out there and talking to people and meeting with them. So that's
you definitely have a head start. Oh, that's awesome. All right, we are filtering back after our 7.5 minutes of script practice. I bet you that wasn't long enough. So here's the thing. Tim's coming back, so I'll wait for him to get back here to give you the thing that's next. Hi, Wilma. I like your haircut.
Good morning.
That was such a great run. It ended so quickly. I wish we had more time.
It ended up too quick.
Too quick.
Who decided 7.5 minutes? That was such a bad idea.
I think we need to go back.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys.
Yeah.
Well, before I get to the thing, what were your big ahas and takeaways from the scripts, other than it being too short? That was Tim's fault. I'll leave that on Tim. So what other ahas did you get from that script?
I had a huge aha.
Tell me, Timmy.
I think when you're a little nervous or uncomfortable, especially with these Zoom calls and stuff, my number one thing is just to look away and look towards the wall. So that way you're not getting nervous and you're thinking about what you have to say next. So instead, it just comes naturally from the brain and from just your imagination.
I love that aha, because some of us really do have that challenge that it's anxiety almost that you have to present in front of somebody or say something and you're afraid of what they're going to say, react, or do. So looking away for you and maybe many others is very helpful. I love that aha. Thank you very much for sharing. What else?
I have an aha.
Yes, Melissa.
If you don't have it memorized, you just fumble bumble through the words.
But what happens when you fumble bumble through the words?
You realize you need to memorize it.
You realize you need to practice it a little bit more, right? A little bit more. You know that happy birthday song?
Yeah.
Why do we all know that one?
We memorized it.
We memorized it.
We recited it over and over.
Right? Right? All right. What other ahas?
If I could just jump on real quick with what Timmy just said about not making eye contact. If we are practicing, and you'll notice that when we go to major events, which we'll eventually do again, when in your any large form training where people are scripting and we're scripting that we're on the phone, we will invariably have you sit back to back so you can't make eye contact, so you can't let the other person off the hook, pun intended, right? If I would encourage people, and I'm doing it right now, actually, I have a separated camera from my MacBook. I'm looking at a camera that's above my MacBook because I wanted it at eye level on purpose, Timmy. And I'm looking into the white light like a maniac because I know right now I'm looking at all of you. If I start to look at the panel on my computer, I'm not making eye contact anymore. So in the age of Zoom, I'm just saying, in the age of Zoom, if you are meeting on Zoom, stare at the camera, maybe put something behind your camera or up by the lens on your notebook so you are looking appropriately at them in the eye. Because if we're going to use the Zoom medium as a connection point in replacement of us being at the kitchen table, if I were at your kitchen table and I were doing this, Timmy, you'd be like, this dude is a maniac, right? I mean, I might have really good metrics and get your home sold quickly, but like, he hasn't made eye contact with me, right? So when we are practicing it and practicing scripts for phones or a script we intend to use on the phone, I appreciate you looking away to lower your nerves and getting good at that conversation. But anything that we're practicing for Zoom or kitchen table or real life, get real good at the eye contact or camera contact for that matter. Just a something.
Good points. Very good points, Tim. All right. What other, I want a couple other ahas because that was a fun 7.5 minutes. I know it was. Well, all right. I see Jessica and then Joanne. I think it's Shauna, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say there was one observation. This is my first time looking at the scripts because I'm very new, and there's one phrase on there that seemed to put the person I'm speaking to on the spot like a lot, and I definitely felt uncomfortable with that. Which was when you ask if you can count on their business, it's like I was like so uncomfortable with that phrase, and I don't know if that'll get any better because it seems like you're like putting them in this like awkward position to
practice saying it 10 times. Keep saying it, and then it won't sound uncomfortable anymore.
Sounds super.
You know what? If I could, I mean, I think that brings up a really good point, actually, right? Yeah. Which is, to what extent do we give in to the script? In other words, these scripts have been, written and modified and edited and have proven successful. And if it's unnatural to us, do we deviate from it?
It's unnatural until you practice it, and then you don't even think
so your answer is
anymore.
Your answer is no to that question.
Right, and it's going to come out when you're in a conversation. It's not going to come out exactly word for word. However, you're answering the questions and getting it done in a concise way.
Yeah, if anybody ever said that to me, I'd feel like no.
But I think that's just a limited belief. That's your mindset, though, I think.
So Jessica, what script were you working on? You want to do it?
It was a Spark script that says like, can I count on your business after like saying that, you're working with a new firm. And the count on the business part is like super salesy. I would never say that to a client as a salesperson.
I think if you have a relationship with that person already, you could say it kind of, maybe not in a joking manner, but like if you're talking to one of your friends or like someone that have a pretty good relationship with, like kind of like, I can count you, you're going to use me, right? Like and that just puts you in their, their field for if it does come up,
When I talk to someone, I say, when we're talking about real estate, I said, I'd love to add you to my database and send you, I like to keep in touch. So if you were going to buy or sell real estate, how do I say that? Would you use me, or do you already have someone that you know?
Well,
because I want the
truth. This is sort of my point, right? Like if we, what liberties, what poetic license can we take in deviating from the script if it feels more natural to us, or should we really, resign ourselves to trying to learn the script word for word, not so that it sounds mechanical or unnatural, but get good enough at the actual specific words. Where are we in with respect to that?
That was part of my aha moment, and maybe I'm wrong, so let me bring it up. Is I quickly scrolled through to see which one of these I'd be most comfortable with, and calling a referral seemed to be the best, because also to your point, Jessica, some of the other stuff about asking for business and stuff is a little awkward to me.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I read it, but as much as I could, in some instances, if I had the chance to look ahead of a sentence, I changed the words a little bit to sound more like me. I'm hoping that's okay, because I did a lot of writing in my career before I came here, and what you write down sometimes and what someone writes and what someone actually says out loud, it sounds better sometimes when you change it a little bit. So I hope that's okay, because I think you need to put yourself into it a little bit. And also my other aha moment that I really wanted to mention was that the person you talk to, I think you have to really know your script well, because that person can take you off. It can easily take you off. And so that's why you have to have this anchor, because you want to come back to it. And so it's important to really feel comfortable with these.
It does seem clear. Chime in. Go ahead. So having done Ignite several times and Bold several times, and as I learned with Timothy, I am still expanding my embracing of scripts and growing. I have found that for the ones that I've really been able to embrace, getting them memorized, not maybe exactly for verbatim, but for like 95% verbatim. But then in practice, in real life, and in the 4 years I've been doing this, I have naturally taken that script that I actually memorized and then slowly made it my own. So replaced a couple keywords. The big thing that I learned once I did that and then went to Bold was the words that I made sure I ingrained in my brain were the call to action words. So when you go over this paperwork or decide you're going to sell your house, you're going to list with me, and you'll learn all of that stuff if you do Bold. But those are the words that I ingrained in my head, and I probably wouldn't have remembered them if I didn't try to memorize the script verbatim. So you're going to eventually over time get a little bit of both, and then you'll feel super comfortable saying it, because you'll be doing those keyword anchor words is what they call them in Bold. You'll get those key anchor words, and you won't feel like you're sounding like a robot, because that was my biggest fear.
And I've had people not list with me or go with me in my business because I didn't ask. I just didn't flat out ask for the business. So if you don't, you're just I can't say you're wasting that phone call, but that's really, it's essential.
If
you don't, someone else
going to
will.
say that exact same thing,
right.
Melissa, is that don't be afraid, because it feels awkward because it's new to you. And if you want to word it in a way that's comfortable, but don't ever, don't not ask for the sale, because the answer is going to be no if you're not asking for it, but just ask for it in a way that is comfortable to you until you're used to a script, because that's how you're going to get the deal, is by asking.
That's right. So if I were to call you, Melody, and say we haven't spoken in 3 months, if I just call and say, hey, just wanted to see how you're doing. I just got into real estate, and I just wanted to let you know, can you do me a favor? If you know anybody that's moving, selling, wanting to relocate, anything, please, can you just think of me? And I'd love to help.
Yeah, absolutely. I would do the same thing.
Are you offended by that?
No, not at all.
Do I sound salesy?
No, and you don't, it doesn't feel like it's a personal attack of being like, can I count on your business? Like, are you going to sign with me? Like, I know you're going to sign with me. And I think that's where some people were going with that, is like, oh my gosh, I just sort of put them against the wall. But instead just being like, no, just if you know anybody, I would love it if you would think of me, or, give them my name, or, give me the information, just for that referral. Because 16 years of a private practice, I was 100% referral based. I didn't have to do the marketing, which was amazing to me. And I was just like, wow, because people are going to talk regardless. And you want to make sure they're talking good. You want to get your name out there, and have that it's like a high touch, if it comes from a referral, someone is going to go faster because they know that person, they trust that person. There's a rapport, rather than just flipping through a book or an ad and being like, oh, well, we'll just go there. You know what I mean?
Matt
This is
Riley made a
absolutely
great
great
point
dialogue.
earlier.
And Tim, I know you want to add on to it, so I'm going to let you. I want to continue this dialogue too. So this is why we have this, and we're going to be doing a coach's corner from 12 to 12:15, Tim, correct?
Mhm.
So anybody who wants to stay on from 12 to 12:15 and continue dialogues like this, please do. And Tim, what else did you want to add on that?
Well, I know Barb McDonald has raised her hand 52 times, so we're gonna let her talk for 3 seconds.
It's only been twice, Tim, but thanks so much.
That's all
I
right.
just,
It's a beautiful
think
hand. It felt like 52.
in terms of the scripts, I do think it's important to learn them cold, get that foundation. The analogy was given to me like sports, like Tom Brady. He knows his plays cold. He knows them and memorize, because then he can easily pivot when he needs to and get creative later. But the foundation has to be solid. And I think that speaks to your point, Matt. But to Jessica's point too, if you're not comfortable, you're never going to say it smoothly. And rather than ask that question of, can I count on your business? Maybe it's a slight tweak of, I'd like to know I can count on your business or earn that business, excuse me. So
Yeah, I
I'm
like that.
thinking sticking as close to it as possible and rehearsing it enough times, you probably will be able to add it to your vocabulary, but definitely learn it cold and then tweak it so that you can comfortably say it, but stay as close. These are proven.
Okay,
Yeah, a lot of these scripts are very similar, and you'll see that the scripts that really resonate with you are the ones that you're going to go around. So Matt, to your point, do you force yourself into the script? There might be a little forcing or uncomfortableness, I'd like to say, on a script, but if you can't get comfortable around that script, there are plenty other scripts to say something very similar to give that same perspective. You know, a lot of times we don't like a script because it's our perspective of the outcome instead of the other person's.
Right.
Do you guys
Yeah,
know what
like-
I mean by that? Say
I'm
that again.
I'm willing to get out of my comfort zone in order to be successful, right? And so I know that if I'm looking at a script, there are words that I would rather say that I'm more comfortable with.
Of course.
But if, you know, like these are proven methods, these words specifically, kind of like an actor learning a script, they may deviate, that may give a better performance, but generally they're trying to, you know, deliver the words that have been written for them. It may be a little uncomfortable. So that's where I was going with that. It's just like, I'd rather be successful than liked, I guess.
You can have both. You can
Yeah,
have
I
both.
guess. But I
I'm
think-
a people pleaser. And
But I
you know,
think
here's the
point
thing.
is like, I think where this all comes to is like, well, it's a little bit of a combination of both. Like you're learning the scripts as a foundation, and then, yeah, it's okay to deviate from them slightly so that you're more comfortable in and conversational and, you know, that kind of thing.
So
Matt
every
Riley
time-
made the point that, you know, obviously we've been at this for 38 years at Keller Williams, and the fact that Gary hasn't burnt all of these to the ground, there's some
Mhm.
credence there. So yes, the meat on the bone of the scripts is important. And I think it was Jessica that was talking about her discomfort with that one script. And Dinah Kokoska would always future-proof her greatness when she showed up at somebody's door,
Yeah.
knock on the door, take 2 steps back and say, it's 4 o'clock. And we had an appointment at 4 o'clock. And as she was walking in, Matt, it's so good to see you and your family. I'm excited about getting your home listed today. So Jessica, I would probably tweak the semantics of that other script and say, you know what, I joined Keller Williams. It's an opportunity to serve all my clients at a higher level. Can I count on the ability to continue to serve you and your loved ones?
Right.
Rather than saying the business word, which could feel like, oh my God, I've got her throat choked up against a brick wall that she has to say, yes, she's going to list with me next time. No, can I continue? Can I count on the opportunity to continue to serve you in the future? And it's that simple twist. You're still asking for the business, but you're asking that from a service level as opposed to a sales level. And Gary would say
Yeah.
service first, sales second,
That's-
head down, heart up, right?
That's just my nature. I'm very much into like service oriented and I want to meet the needs of people. I don't want them to ever feel like I'm pressuring them.
Pushy.
I want them to come to me naturally by being open and welcoming.
May I ask a question? I don't know if, am I coming through?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, I'm very new. I haven't, anyways, I come from a very different field and world. And so this is brand new. I haven't yet gotten my license, in fact, but I'm curious, so I don't know if this is part of Keller Williams or you've talked about this, but how, like I'm a very empathetic person and intuitive with energy in some ways. And so I tend to read people, and if they give me certain energy back, I might shift my approach. So for me, like when, was it Jessica, you said that, can you count on my business? If someone said that to me, if a real estate person said that to me, I would not go with them. I'm not comfortable with that kind of, you know, I want someone who I will come to them and who's not going to be in my face. And so I would probably read someone saying, oh, they don't like, and then it would change my behavior normally. So how do you address that in this business, which I don't know at all anything about, but.
So Christina, I'd like to challenge that just a very little bit. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not sure if I love that phrase either. I would probably use something on the lines of, hey, my goal this year is to help 16 families buy, sell, invest, or rent in real estate. Would you help me with this goal? That's something I would probably say in place of that. But if I were to say something like Jessica's script, I'm saying it to a family member or a close friend or your sphere of influence. So
okay, that makes, yeah.
If somebody that you know, right? Like if I talked to my mom and said, Mom, can I count on you for this?
Yeah. I understand. That makes
a lot
more yeah, that makes more sense. But so I get it now. But then is this something you guys address in terms of like, do you try to not read? Do you know what I mean? In human relationships, that's for me is important, that energy, reciprocation and feeling people out. But I know in business, I have never been in business. I'm in performing arts. So I tend to put my energy, I don't know.
It's mostly on emotion as opposed to just being strategic.
Yeah. And so how do you,
The other thing is sometimes I think you work with like people. So there are people that I interview with, and they're not for me. I don't like the way, they talk to me or treat me. We don't have a connection. And I'll be very upfront now that I have some experience and say, you know what? I know somebody that I think would really work for you, and get a referral. You don't have to work with every single person that you're with. And, they might not want to work with you either. And that's great. It's nothing personal. It's just human nature. And, you will find people that you want to work with.
Christina, there's a class we have called.
Experience with a script that was really, I was in on a power hour, and this experienced realtor was using the script, and I was listening and watching her, and she was a very dry and very matter of fact. And I was like, how does this work? Like, she's just so dry and just like blunt and monotone. And she walked away with an appointment with that phone call. And I'm like, how does that work? Because I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, how you doing today? And she was like, nope, like, you don't know how I sell homes and I want to show you. But it was just so flat. And yet it still worked. And someone explained to me, you resonate with different people different ways. So maybe that person on that end was a no BS kind of person, and just get to the point. And then someone you talk to and you're using your script is more going to connect with you more on an emotional level. So I think it depends, like you're saying, like who you're talking to and who you choose to work with.
Tim, what's a great class?
What's that?
I was asking Tim, what's a great class to understand your audience?
Yeah, well, I was gonna mention the fact with language of sales is huge. And I was gonna also say to Christina, there's in one of probably our biggest educational initiative at Keller Williams is called BOLD. And one of the BOLD laws is logic makes us think, emotion makes us act.
Exactly.
Right? And as a performer, right, you play different roles. And you can decide that I'm only going to do business with people like me, or I would like to assist everybody on planet Earth. And we're not going to do, the latter is probably not going to happen. That being said, understanding, and there's nothing rude about this, but we've all done this. I'm sure Bobby's done it because she's had 20 minutes to eat a sandwich in between meetings. So she's going to go into a restaurant in Newport and sit down and be like, she's going to let the waiter know right away, I've got 29 minutes. So if we could just please understand, I've got to get to my next appointment, and I'm thrilled to be here. I've got 30 minutes. So so I'm going to order, and I need you to bring the check to me. Thank you so much. Or you're sitting down and your daughter just graduated, and you're like, we have a 7 o'clock appointment at this restaurant, and we're staying here until they kick us out. Right. And it's understanding the experience they want to have and how we're going to connect with them. We've been talking about this all day today about kinesthetic, the VAC, and understanding people's discs. It is super important that we do not take the way we feel that we want to be treated and assume everybody else feels that same way.
Yeah.
Now, invariably, we'll have a much more enjoyable career in this industry, if we continue to win the lottery of emotion and continue to work with people just like me, that would probably be brain damage if I kept running into people like me. Although at the same time, it's because I know he's going to scratch his right ear. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And I can play better with those individuals if we want to be successful and we want to really affect change for more people. And Bobby said this best. This is back to logic makes them think, emotion makes them act. We will serve our people best when we can romanticize what we do for a living. I need everybody to stop talking about units and how many houses we sold and the volume we're going to hit this year. Chunk it down to I intend to help 156 families in 2021. If you can romanticize that goal with your friends, everyone will want to get on board.
And
That's
stop
why I'll
saying
leave
that
it to
you're
it.
new.
Yeah.
Stop
yeah.
saying I'm a new
That's
agent.
huge. That's huge.
I'm not even an agent yet, so I'm really truly, yeah.
All right, so we
anyway.
have 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure we finish strong here. The last page says understand scripts and your role play. Here's what I'm going to task you to do. Your action item for today: find your role play partner, because we all know that 7.5 minutes was not long enough. Find your role partner that you could consistently get on the phone with, get on a Zoom with, or whatever, get face to face with a mask on. But get there and talk to your partner about your scripts. It just has to be 15 minutes of your day, and you're running through, like we went over today, the process of memorizing them and really finding the scripts that really work for you. So Tim, how do you want to end that off today?
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. And if I can make a recommendation to people, the fact that we are, remember that and there's 115 of you that are, and we have 16 currently on Facebook. So a bunch of you are wicked smart and you're spending time in the right place, and we appreciate your time. To be of service to you, I think that it would be amazing if you could set your time with your accountability buddy, with your scripting partner. Find somebody within New England, so you're not fighting time zones and all that kind of stuff. I would also encourage you to find somebody outside of your immediate sales team, even outside of your market center. Because even though we're not necessarily rubbing elbows in this age of COVID, you might let somebody you have an interpersonal relationship with off the hook. Oh, I know Bobby's probably halfway through her bottle of Pinot Grigio because Brady left her 6 months ago and she's mad about the Patriots. So I'm not going to call her today because you're in a bad mood, Bobby. So I'm going to give her grace and I'm going to let her off the hook. Find that person within New England so we can kick butt as a team. And I would get on the phone with them at 7:44. If your face isn't up at 7:44, let's make an amendment to our schedule and be on the phone with them. You don't have to be beautiful. You can be on the phone. You don't have to be on Zoom. And at 7:44, hit that bucket of balls. The reason I'm saying that is it gives you that 15 minutes, right? The activities will expand to the time allowed. Efficiently get through a script. You give each other a few no's and then a yes. Everybody gets off the phone with a win. You've stretched your legs a little bit. At 8 o'clock, I'm going to encourage most people, depending on what your group huddles are at your market center, you should be on with James Shaw on Pivot Shift Ahead. That is a national call of greatness that you should be on Facebook for. And I encourage you to be on that. And then usually
It's on this morning.
a lot of what's awesome. Yeah. Matty Howard just said he was on. It was phenomenal today. And then at 8:30, a lot of market centers and or teams are getting into their group huddles. And then at 8:59, your face should be calling the humans. And I'm not trying to shoot all over you. We are encouraging you to call the humans at 9. And between 9 and 11, and then 11 o'clock, you do your follow-up. And we said a lot of stuff about follow-up today. More importantly than follow-up is follow through. Are you making good on the promises you made to your humans so they know as they continue this journey to the biggest transaction of their life, probably, that you're going to be the person they can trust, right?
I love what's happening in the chat. You guys are requesting script partners. Keep that up. Keep that going as we're talking here. Alan, thank you for the shout out. I am not alone here with the Patriots suffering.
I'm making fun because I'm making fun. That's all.
Whatever.
I'm a Patriots fan. I'm a Patriots fan.
And I just want to remind you guys, the most important thing for our Ignite 2.0 is, anybody remember what I said the day one was the most important thing to remember and to stay on track with? Anybody?
10-4.
10-4.
Who's that? They're my new best friend.
Matty Howard.
Matt Howard, you are my new best friend. It is the 10-4.
What is that, Bovie?
Oh, I think someone else could tell us what it is because we've
Perfect.
talked about it enough. Go ahead, Donna. What happened to your thumb? Go ahead, Donna. We can't hear you though. You're muted.
She
All right,
strained at dialing.
She's muted. Okay. So 10 people in your database a day 10 conversations about real estate a day, 10 note cards a day, and 10 properties viewed a week. That's your daily 10-4. That should be your job. You know how when you used to go to a job and clock in and clock out and they told you in between this time frame, this is what you did, and you did it actually? Well, do it for yourself.
Yep.
Your daily 10-4 is for you and for building this business. And Ignite is to show you how to do the business that you're going to get from that daily 10-4. All right, any ahas while we finish up the last 2 minutes and then go into Coach's Corner? We silenced them, Tim.
You can also jump onto the Keller Williams New England Ignite 2.0 Facebook page and continue to make those relationships for accountability buddies and script partners. Super important. If you're not doing it and you're not overwhelmed with listings, like I asked this class in every one of our trainings at our market center, raise your hand if you have too much money in the bank. I'll wait. Raise your hand if you have too many listings, right? So if you're currently overwhelmed by how underwhelming your listing count is, we should get in a script partner. Let's start the team up. Let's start to edify each other's mindsets and our businesses and our conversations. So picking up the phone becomes second nature. It's like tying your shoes, taking a shower, God help you, and brushing your teeth, right? Because we're on Zoom. I know not everybody showered. It's just not a thing anymore. Somebody's still in their pajama pants, but I don't want to see below your torso today. Thank you.
How many people don't even have pants on?
All right. I'm at the office. I had to put pants on. Well, I didn't have to, but yeah, chose to. It's a choice I made.
At least you had to walk in with them on, right?
Yeah. They're hanging on the back of the door. Yeah.
All right, guys. So unfortunately, I was just told we need to use this account for another mastermind that's happening right now at 12.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Tim, can they reach you if they want to talk to a coach or
Yeah.
anything?
If you guys want to have a conversation, my number is 603-834-2856. And if you'd like to, I will open up my Zoom room right now. You can go to timsoffice.com, timsoffice.com. The Zoom meeting ID is my cell phone, 603-834-2856. I'll meet you guys there right now.
All right, guys,
Have a
don't
great
think
day.
I'm rude, but I got to shut us down. So have a great day and I'll see you all
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.